Chapter 992, 70 Spiritual Root Offspring, The Idea of Relocation. Chapter 992, Chapter 354, 70 Spiritual Root Offspring, The Idea of Relocation. But the next moment he thought of his daughter and his son Lu Lingxiao, who were twins. Giving a gift to his daughter but not his son would seem to show too much favoritism on the part of this old father. I might as well give it to Pingon. If this iron-eating beast grows up, it should be quite ferocious. Lu Changxing stroked his chin. Although he couldn't see where the iron-eating beast was fierce, he still believed in its bloodline grade. However, Lu Pingon had now gone to White Tiger Mountain to take charge and was not at home. Moreover, he felt that the iron-eating beast wouldn't be of much use to Lu Pingon. After all, it would take decades for such a spiritual pet to grow and possess certain combat abilities. Forget it, I'll give it to Xiaohe. Lu Changxing took out a feeding spirit pill to feed the iron-eating beast, put it into the spirit beast bag, and decided to give it to his daughter Lu Lingyi. As for his son Lu Lingxiao, he would wait and see if he could get him a different type of heavenly spiritual fire later. Zixiao, what do you think about giving this to Xiaohe as a pet? Lu Changxing found Ling Zixiao and took the round iron-eating beast out of the spiritual pet bag. What is this? Ling Zixiao, wearing an azure blue palace dress, dignified and elegant, looked over the black and white dumpling. She cultivated the 12 capital demon divine technique, and upon seeing this cute creature, she felt an inexplicable fierce aura emanating from it. This is a demon beast that hatched from an egg I obtained earlier, called the iron-eating beast. I was thinking of giving it to Xiaohe as a companion. Lu Changxing laughed as he spoke. Iron-eating beast? Ling Zixiao had never heard of this name. But she knew her intuition was not wrong. This iron-eating beast was very unusual. Lord, isn't this too valuable? Although Ling Zixiao was happy, she still felt it was a bit extravagant and wasteful to give such a spiritual beast to her daughter as a pet. Haha, if it were any less remarkable, it wouldn't be worthy of my daughter. I was just thinking about giving it to Xiaohe and not to Lingxiao, which would make me seem biased as a father. Lu Changxing said with a smile. Lingxiao would probably be more interested in puppets. We could give him a puppet. Ling Zixiao suggested, feeling that her daughter would surely like the round iron-eating beast. As for Lingxiao, when he grows up and starts cultivating, he'll have other gifts for him. Lu Changxing said so. He had news that his son Lu Yun was collecting heavenly spiritual fires from outside. Because relying solely on system draws for heavenly spiritual fire was too random. Not to mention whether one could draw it at all, even if one did, the chances of being as lucky as before to find one compatible with Dragon Roar physique were not guaranteed. So, purchasing from outside, if lucky he might get a decent heavenly spiritual fire. Thank you, husband. I'm sure Xiaohe will love it. Ling Zixiao said cheerfully. She knew that Lu Changxing was very fond of Lu Wangshu, having given her a mysterious turtle as a pet. Now that Lu Changxing was giving this iron-eating beast to their daughter Lu Lingyi, it was another sign of his affection for her. Soon, the two of them headed to the Lu family mansion to visit the children. The two little ones had their own courtyards, but most of the time they still spent time with Bai Ling or in Lu Wangshu's yard. Call sister. At this time, inside the small courtyard, Lu Wangshu was holding the two little ones and said out loud, Sister. Lu Lingyi called out loud and obediently, while Lu Lingxiao did so perfunctorily. Say sister, I love you. Sister, I love you. Sister, I love you. Lu Lingxiao, your tone isn't sincere enough, do it again and give sister a smile. Just arriving outside the courtyard, Lu Changxing heard this noise and was somewhat speechless. Immediately he said, Haha, it seems Wangshu gets along very well with Lingxiao and Xiaohe. Aha. Ling Zixiao nodded and didn't say anything else. She didn't feel that her child was being bullied. She simply thought her daughter didn't seem very bright. If this continued, would she be easily deceived and bullied when she grew up? Dad, Auntie. Lu Wangshu saw Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao and immediately put down the two little ones she was holding, calling out with a face of well-behaved gentleness. Daddy, Mommy. The two little ones cried out. Hee hee. Lu Changxing looked at the scene and couldn't help but laugh. He approached to chat with his children and inquire about their well-being. Then he took out a puppet and the iron-eating beast to give to Lu Lingxiao and Lu Lingyi respectively. Daddy, what's this? Lu Wangshu saw the iron-eating beast and was immediately attracted by its docile appearance, her eyes glistening as she spoke. Goodness, I forgot this daughter likes everything. Lu Changxing thought to himself. Then he said with a smile, This is called the iron-eating beast. It's a spiritual beast I obtained and I found it quite cute, so I thought of giving it to Xiaohe as a pet. Do you like it? I'm so grown up already, how could I like this thing? Lu Wangshu said, lifting her delicate chin. Although she liked it with her auntie nearby, she didn't have the heart to snatch her sister's pet. Besides, she and Xiaohe were sisterly and shared everything. They naturally shared good things. Xiaohe, do you like this? Ling Zixiao turned to her daughter Lu Lingyi. Lu Lingyi didn't speak but reached out her chubby little hand to poke the round ball that was the iron-eating beast. The black and white panda immediately curled up into a ball and rolled around on the ground. Seeing this, Lu Lingyi moved in to poke it again, and the iron-eating beast rolled over once more. Ya. Lu Lingyi suddenly got interested and played gleefully with the black and white panda. However, after rolling around for a while, the iron-eating beast got tired, panting with an exhausted and lazy look, lying still and not rolling anymore. Daddy, Mommy, it stopped moving. Lu Lingyi said so, trying to pick up the iron-eating beast. But even though her strength was much greater than that of the average toddler, she couldn't lift the iron-eating beast. Chapter 993, 70 Spiritual Root Descendants, The Idea of Relocation. Chapter 993, Chapter 354, 70 Spiritual Root Descendants, The Idea of Relocation. Lu Changxing collapsed to the ground with a plop, breathless and gasping. The sight made Ling Zixiao hold his forehead and sigh deeply. Wangshu, take good care of this iron-eating beast regularly. Lu Changxing had realized that if his daughter Lu Lingyi were to take care of it, she might likely neglect the iron-eating beast to death. Dad, the name iron-eating beast sounds so unpleasant. Is there another name? Lu Wangshu asked. No, you name it, Lu Changxing said offhandedly. Well, since it rolls around so much, let's call it Roll. Lu Wangshu pondered for a moment before looking at her younger sister, Xiaohe, with a crisp voice. How about it, Xiaohe? Do you think the name sister picked sounds good? It sounds great. Lu Lingyi nodded repeatedly, echoing her sister's enthusiasm. After spending so much time with Lu Wangshu, she had already taken on the role of a little follower. Although Ling Zixiao felt the name was not very fitting for such a spiritual beast, since the children liked it, he said nothing and only instructed them to take good care of the iron-eating beast. 3 months later, Lu Changxing received a message from Li Xingrua that she was ready to attempt the foundation establishment. Upon hearing this news, Lu Changxing pondered briefly and decided to take Li Xingrua to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven for her breakthrough. On one hand, even with the formation concealing it, undergoing a breakthrough at Bai Lake Mountain could still cause quite a disturbance. On the other hand, having lived at Bai Lake Mountain for many years as a second-order alchemist, with both parents deceased and only a younger sister remaining, Li Xingrua was trustworthy. Moreover, as his concubine now officially recorded in the family registry, she also had a layer of protection. Lu Changxing arrived at Li Xingruo's courtyard and noticed light only in the bedroom. She's resting so early. He chuckled lightly, guessing her thoughts. A major event like the foundation establishment could inevitably cause some anxiety. They could commence a dual cultivation to help her relax slightly. He walked towards the bedroom and pushed the door open. Inside, Li Xingrua lay on the bed, her black hair spread out, covered with a light blanket, her cheeks slightly flushed. Xingrua. Lu Changxing started to untie his magical robe but immediately sensed something was off. Using his divine sense, he saw that besides Li Xingrua, there was another body under the blanket, devoid of any clothing, skin as white as jade, slightly trembling. Husband. Li Xingrua called out to Lu Changxing. Brother-in-law. At that moment, the blanket was lifted, and Li Xingyu, her face red as a beet, covered her face and shyly called out. Her body wasn't as tall and graceful as her sister Li Xingruo's, but from top to bottom, it exuded a thick fragrance of youth. Sigh. Lu Changxing sighed internally, clearly understanding the sister's intentions. Looking at Li Xingyu, he softly said, Xingyu, is this truly what you want? Lu, someone, although not a perfect virtuous gentleman, would naturally not take advantage of two sisters so alone and helpless. If they genuinely wished for it, he, Lu, someone, was naturally willing to offer these pitiful sisters a warm home. I am willing. Li Xingyu, covering her flushed cheeks, said in a trembling voice. Then she added, Please cherish me, brother-in-law. Hearing this, Lu Changxing naturally could no longer play the virtuous gentleman. After all, things had progressed this far, what more could he do? Brother-in-law. Not long after, the young girl lay there with her delicate neck arched back, her soft tongue slightly sticking out, breathing rapidly, her beautiful jade feet tightly clenched, toes curled up like pearls. Her sister Li Xingrua was comforting her. Afterward. Big sister, brother-in-law, can we always be together? Li Xingyu, drenched in sweet sweat, weakly nestled in Lu Changsheng's arms, whispered, "Yes." Lu Changsheng and Li Xingrua gently stroked the young girl, responding warmly. As it was her first experience, it wasn't long before the young girl fell into a deep sleep. "Xingrua, I'm sorry you had to go through this." Seeing this, Lu Changsheng, holding Li Xingruo's hand, spoke softly. Xingyu has long admired her husband. Li Xingrua rested her forehead on Lu Changsheng's shoulders and whispered. Although it was she who had asked her sister about it, she did so knowing her sister's feelings, thus revealing the matter. Of course, she had her reasons for doing this. Thinking about the possibility of failing her foundation establishment and facing accidents, she knew her sister would have someone to take care of her. Moreover, her sister was unlikely to leave by Lake Mountain in the future. Being able to marry Lu Changsheng was already a great fortune, a good settlement, and possibly even an opportunity for foundation establishment in the future. Lu Changsheng, with his arm around Li Xingruo's fair shoulder, chatted with her about the sister's past and matters concerning foundation establishment. Because of Li Xingyia's situation, Li Xingruo's foundation establishment was delayed for half a month. Half a month later, Lu Changxing took Li Xingrua to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven for her to peacefully proceed with her foundation establishment. As he was worried about Li Xingruo's foundation establishment, he stayed near the cave mansion to monitor the situation throughout. Time passed bit by bit. After 10 days of preparation, Li Xingrua began her foundation establishment. By now, Lu Changxing was extremely familiar with foundation establishment. By observing every move of Li Xingrua through his divine sense, he could tell her progress and situation during the foundation establishment. Xingrua is only in her 40s, in her prime. Having taken the 3 Suns elixir and with no internal injuries, her foundation in the magic barrier is rather solid. She practices an exquisite level cultivation technique, and possesses a 5th grade spiritual root, so there shouldn't be much issue. As for the final mental spirit, although she lacks various hardships, she experienced the vicissitudes of ordinary life early on when both parents passed away. She has been taking care of her sister and living in the marketplace by herself, so her mental temperament is not bad. And because she has been alcheming for a long period and is a second-order alchemist, her control over mental spirit and spiritual power exceeds most cultivators, thus overall, her chances of successful foundation establishment are quite high. Lu Changxing quietly observed Li Xingrua in front of him, internally concluding. Under Lu Changxing's watchful eye, Li Xingrua slowly passed the 3 trials of foundation establishment, began to gather mana and lifted the Dao platform. Half a month later, Li Xingrua finally managed to break through the foundation establishment, albeit with some difficulty. Xingrua, congratulations on your successful foundation establishment. Lu Changxing stepped forward, touched Li Xingruo's hair tenderly, and congratulated her with a smile. It's all thanks to your top-grade foundation establishment elixir, otherwise, Li Xingrua, still immersed in her breakthrough process, responded with a slightly hoarse voice. She was well aware that she had nearly failed just moments ago. Had she taken an ordinary foundation establishment elixir without such efficacy to coordinate the 3 trials and transform the spiritual energy, she feared she would have failed the foundation establishment. This made her look at Lu Changxing with eyes full of tender affection. Hee, you just broke through, so stabilize your cultivation realm well. Lu Changxing spoke softly, then walked out of the cave mansion. He wasn't just there to watch her break through for gaining favor. He was mainly concerned about the possibility of her failing the foundation establishment. If there were any problems or accidents during the process, he could still lend a hand with secret techniques and yin-yang energies. Now I can start moving some of the family industries to White Tiger Mountain. Lu Changxing walked out of Changxing Hall, looked at the spiritual medicines in the medicine garden, and murmured to himself. Considering the increase in the number of family members who had achieved foundation establishment, he planned to move the family's puppet workshop, wine brewing workshop, and talisman workshop to White Tiger Mountain. It would be sufficient to retain some core operations at By Lake Mountain. Due to the large intake of apprentices and the recruitment of guest elders in earlier years, By Lake Mountain now found it hard to accommodate more people and establish new workshops. However, although White Tiger Mountain had not been completely idle over the years, it was considered a waste of resources as it hadn't been fully utilized. Immediately, Lu Changxing left Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, found his son Lu Yun, and relayed the plans about moving to White Tiger Mountain for him to draft a plan. Moving the 3 workshops to White Tiger Mountain? Lu Yun, upon hearing this, wasn't surprised. He had thought of this when White Tiger Mountain was first conquered. One reason was that the family owned by Lake Mountain was now somewhat overcrowded. On the other hand, the mineral resources surrounding White Tiger Mountain were much richer than those nearby Lake Mountain. If the puppet workshop were to be built on White Tiger Mountain, it could also save a step in transportation costs. The only issue was that moving the workshops there would require a Foundation establishment great cultivator to supervise. Over the years, no Foundation cultivator had been stationing at White Tiger Mountain. It had solely relied on the fame of By Lake Mountain, as well as the nearby Taiwood Forest and Creek Mountain, to deter others. If the workshops were moved there and faced danger, it would be a heavy blow to the Liu family. This was because, over the years, the Liu family had invested a lot in nurturing these apprentices. In a few years your elder brother will break through to Foundation establishment, and with him supervising White Tiger Mountain, you don't need to worry about safety. Discuss with Xianxia and the others to finalize the details. Identify any issues that might arise during the move. Lu Changxing spoke thus. My elder brother breaking through to Foundation establishment. Lu Yun was aware that Lu Chuanjin had recently made a breakthrough to Foundation establishment. He hadn't expected that his own elder brother Lu Pinggan would soon make a breakthrough as well. Surprised and astonished, he felt a wave of excitement. With this progress, which neighboring family forces could stop their rise? Yes, father. Lu Yun responded respectfully, then immediately went to confirm the relocation matters with the 3 workshop managers. Chapter 994. Contract with 6-winged golden silkworm, Lu Qingshan breaks through. Chapter 994. Chapter 355. Contract with 6-winged golden silkworm, Lu Qingshan breaks through. By Lake Mountain. The weather was clear and the day was beautiful. Lu Changxing was sunbathing with 2 babies, chatting with his concubines, when he suddenly heard the news that his son, Lu Chuanjin, had emerged from closed-door cultivation. This son had been in secluded cultivation for almost a year. Upon hearing this news he immediately asked Lu Chuanjin to come and see him. Son pays respects to father. Lu Chuanjin came forward and immediately bowed. After nearly a year of secluded cultivation, he had undergone significant changes. His mana was now contained within him, his features clear-cut, his demeanor refined, his black eyes long and narrow, deep and impenetrable like a secluded pool. It seems you have gained much during this time. Lu Changxing eyed his son and spoke. Thanks to the Purple Mansion elixir given by father. Lu Chuanjin said so. Because of the Purple Mansion elixir, his divine sense had improved to 150 zhang, comparable to a Foundation establishment late stage. And his physical body had also seen significant improvements. This greatly aided him in understanding the follow-up cultivation techniques of the 5 elements Kunping technique. Come with me. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly and stood up to speak. With the Purple Mansion elixir enhancing his divine sense, he now had a better chance of taming the 6-winged golden silkworm. He found his wife, Lu Miaoyun, and took the ancient beast taming charm. Then he called inside to Hong Lian. Swish. The ancient beast taming charm emitted diffusing light, and a golden silkworm about 5 inches long with a pair of thin wings appeared. This silkworm, as if disturbed from its sleep, was immediately exuding a fierce and murderous aura. What is this? Upon seeing the 6-winged golden silkworm, Lu Quanzhen's pupils constricted, sensing a dangerous aura from it. This silkworm is called the 6-winged golden silkworm, an ancient rare insect species extremely ferocious, not fearing any divine skills or techniques, and once it grows its 6 wings, it can even devour a nascent soul true lord. Of course, this 6-winged golden silkworm is still in its larval stage, only at the 2nd order initial stage, nowhere near that level yet. But unexpectedly, it can still pose a threat to a Foundation establishment late-stage cultivator. Holding the 6-winged golden silkworm in his palm, Lu Changxing slowly said. 6-winged golden silkworm, not fearing any divine skills or techniques, and once it grows its 6 wings, it can devour a nascent soul true lord? Lu Chuanjin was aghast at the sight of the 6-winged golden silkworm. No wonder it gave him a sense of danger. He estimated that if he fought with this 6-winged golden silkworm, he wouldn't be its match. This 6-winged golden silkworm is a gift I am giving you. But this insect is ferocious and brutal, with low intelligence and difficult to tame, you will need to subdue it yourself. Lu Changxing told Lu Chuanjin. Though he could assist, it was still necessary for Lu Chuanjin to earn the 6-winged golden silkworm's recognition. Father, isn't this too precious? Although Lu Chuanjin was very tempted, he still politely spoke. After all, he had just received a bottle of the incredibly precious Purple Mansion elixir not long ago. Now, having just emerged from seclusion, to be given such a rare spiritual insect, it truly overwhelmed him. But he couldn't deny that his father indeed possessed many fine items. When you are out and about, the more methods you have, the more at ease both I and your mother can be. Lu Changxing spoke warmly. Thank you, father. Lu Chuanzhen was no longer polite, bowed, and asked how he should proceed, how to tame this six-winged golden silkworm. Take note of this secret technique. Lu Changxing threw a technique jade slip to Lu Chuanzhen. It was a beast-taming method he had obtained from Hong Lian. Lu Chuanzhen looked at the jade slip and a moment later, exclaimed in surprise, "The blood-pact method? There are many contracting methods for taming beast. Among them the blood-pact method is the most domineering. Not only is it difficult to undo once the pact is formed, if the master dies the spiritual beast also perishes. However, the blood pact method also has its advantages. Like ordinary contracts, unless the spiritual beast is raised from birth, fostering affection, if both parties are of equivalent strength, there's a high probability of failure. Even if the contract succeeds, it's not very stable. It might even happen that the spiritual beast breaks through, and under immense demonic power shatters the contract. This is why most cultivators, when contracting spiritual beasts, either bond with younglings or beasts weaker than themselves. Because for beasts of the same realm or those of higher lineage grade, trying to tame them through ordinary means is very challenging. And the blood pact method not only increases the probability of successful contract but also deepens the bond with the spiritual beast's demonic soul with each breakthrough, strengthening the bond between person and pet. Correct, the six-winged golden silkworm has low intelligence, and ordinary contracts would hardly resonate with you. So, the blood pact method is the best choice. Lu Changxing explained. With creatures like the six-winged golden silkworm, if contracted ordinarily, not only are they difficult to tame, but even if bonded, they are also prone to backlash. Thank you, father. Lu Chuanzhen gratefully spoke, knowing that with such a contract, this six-winged golden silkworm was now completely tied to him. Then Lu Chuanzhen followed the blood pact method, forcefully sliced his finger, and smeared his essence blood on the six-winged golden silkworm. Buzz buzz buzz. Instantly, the ferocity of the six-winged golden silkworm was provoked, its thin wings like flying daggers, its eyes flashing a bloodthirsty crimson light. Had it not been for Lu Changxing suppressing it with his consciousness, the six-winged golden silkworm would have already attacked Lu Chuanzhen. Hong Lian. Lu Changxing spoke to Hong Lian. The ancient beast-taming charm then circulated shimmering light, and symbols and runes like birds and beasts appeared, buzzing and exuding a barbaric aura, then transforming into various birds and beasts flying toward the six-winged golden silkworm and Lu Chuanzhen, vividly brought to life. Is this the beastly ancient talisman? Chapter 995. Contract with six-winged golden silkworm, Lu Qingshan breaks through. Chapter 995. Chapter 355. Contract with six-winged golden silkworm, Lu Qingshan breaks through. Although Lu Chuanzhen did not recognize the meaning of the ancient talismanic script, he had heard of this kind of script. Rumors had it that such scripts were a manifestation of the laws of heaven and earth. Some also said it was the bone script of the demon race. Because it is recorded in books that some powerful demon beasts, upon reaching a certain level of growth, would awaken their bone scripts and receive the inheritance of their bloodline memories. Regardless, this sort of ancient talismanic script was something that only those at the core formation and nascent soul levels could possibly come into contact with. Now his father was using such mysterious and unpredictable ancient script to help him contract a spiritual beast. Chuanzhen. Lu Changxing called out to his son, signaling him to carry out the blood covenant seriously. Lu Chuanzhen immediately held his breath and concentrated, tracing each mysterious rune onto the six-winged golden silkworm with his own essence blood. As the essence blood formed runes, it burst forth with a mysterious power and entered the body of the six-winged golden silkworm. Then Lu Chuanzhen felt a ferocious and terrifying magic aura rush toward his sea of consciousness. However, within his sea of consciousness, there immediately appeared a bird ready to spread its wings and fly, suppressing the impact of this consciousness. It was none other than the beastly ancient talisman formed by the ancient beast-taming charm. Lu Chuanzhen knew that he needed to suppress the consciousness of the six-winged golden silkworm and make it submit. His consciousness immediately transformed into a pung bird and struck at the consciousness of the six-winged golden silkworm. At the same time, his fingers continued to trace the runes of the blood covenant, allowing his essence blood to continue entering the six-winged golden silkworm. Lu Changxing watched quietly, waiting for the outcome. With the ancient beast-taming charms helped to defend the Sea of Consciousness and suppress the six-winged golden silkworm, if his son still couldn't contract this spiritual insect, then as a father he would be helpless. Time ticked by slowly. Boom. Suddenly, a terrifying aura of mana erupted from within Lu Qianzhen, causing his robes to flutter with a whistling sound. Behind him, an endless ocean appeared, with a giant egg interwoven with black and gold colors bobbing up and down, accompanied by faint sightings of great fish and divine birds, roaring and howling, veiled and obscure, captivating and terrifying. Quanzhen's cultivation technique is no simple matter. Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed slightly. He knew that the technique his son practiced had been taught to him by his own uncle, whom he had never met, and was a demonic cultivation technique. However, he was not clear on the specifics of this technique and had never asked his son. Seeing the aura released by Lu Qianzhen now, with yin and yang and the five elements rotating as if to refine all things, terrifying and domineering, he realized that this technique was far from simple. Screech. Behind Lu Qianzhen, the phantom giant egg seemed to transform into a golden ping bird soaring into the sky, screeching sharply, its might fierce as it attacked the six-winged golden silkworm and then swallowed it. Roar, roar, roar. The six-winged golden silkworm roared and its body shone with golden light, exuding a ferocious and bloodthirsty aura, resisting Lu Qianzhen. But under the suppression of Lu Changxing and the ancient beast-taming charm, and as the struggle continued, the aura of the six-winged golden silkworm gradually weakened. After an indeterminate amount of time, an invisible qi formed between Lu Qianzhen and the six-winged golden silkworm, establishing some kind of connection. At this moment, although the six-winged golden silkworm still exuded an aura of brutality and slaughter, it was no longer so unruly. Not bad. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, knowing that his son had successfully completed the contract with the six-winged golden silkworm. Phew. Lu Qianzhen opened his eyes, exhaled a long breath, looking pale and tired, having expended a great deal. Looking at the six-winged golden silkworm before him, he felt a subtle connection with it. He extended his palm toward the six-winged golden silkworm. Instantly, the six-winged golden silkworm came to rest on Lu Quanzhen's palm, softly roaring, doing its utmost to suppress its bloodthirsty aura. Thank you, father. Lu Qianzhen bowed deeply to Lu Changxing. Through the process of contracting, he became deeply aware of the terror of the six-winged golden silkworm. If it weren't for his father and the help of the ancient script, even if he could have suppressed the six-winged golden silkworm, he would not have been able to make it submit. Now with the six-winged golden silkworm as his spiritual beast, it would be a great aid on his future path of cultivation. If you like this gift, that's good. By the way, this six-winged golden silkworm mainly feeds on blood. Lu Changxing waved his hand and continued to inform Lu Qianzhen about some of the care the six-winged golden silkworm needed. I like it very much and will certainly not let down father's high hopes. Lu Qianzhen said, taking note of everything. Then he indicated that he planned to venture out and travel after some time. You can make decisions about these things on your own. If there's anything you need, just tell the family directly. Lu Changxing spoke like this. Lu Quanzhen's intention to travel had already been mentioned to him. Thus, after his son had been in closed-door cultivation for so long, he guessed that the other party was preparing to travel. I'm almost ready. Lu Quanzhen's heart warmed and a smile appeared on his face. Have you thought about where you want to travel to? Lu Changxing asked casually. I plan to visit Azure Phoenix Immortal City first, and then I might go to Jin Kingdom for experience. Lu Qianzhen said this. Jin Kingdom? Lu Changxing's eyebrows furrowed slightly upon hearing this word. Jin Kingdom, although adjacent to Jianghu country, was under demonic sects. And hearing Jin Kingdom, he could not help but think of his daughter, Nangong Yaoyao, who was far away in Jin Kingdom, as well as his wife Nangong Mili and his future wife Meng Xiaochan. Why do you want to visit Jin Kingdom? Lu Changxing inquired. I want to see what the demonic cultivation world is like, and since my cultivation technique is a demonic cultivation technique, there might be suitable opportunities for me in Jin Kingdom. Lu Qianzhen spoke plainly. His intention to visit Jin Kingdom was influenced by his uncle Chu Chang'e. He wanted to see the rumored state of demonic sects and whether they were as described in the books. Chapter 996. Contracting the Six-Winged Golden Silkworm, Lu Qingshan Breakthrough. Chapter 996. Chapter 355. Contracting the Six-Winged Golden Silkworm, Lu Qingshan Breakthrough. Lu Changxing was silent for a moment, then sighed. If you are going to Jin Kingdom, you must be very careful. He knew that persuasion was not very effective in such matters. Moreover, since his son had already achieved foundation establishment, he, as a father, did not want to interfere too much and let them make their own choices. Father, rest assured, your child will be careful. Lu Chuanzhen said respectfully. Lu Changxing originally wanted to say that if he encountered any danger or trouble, he could seek help from the Five Poisons cult. But thinking that Nangong Mili, if she heard his name, Lu Chuanzhen being his son, it might be like sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth. Then he changed the subject and asked, "Is there any confusion in your cultivation?" Father, these days when I was comprehending the subsequent cultivation techniques, Lu Chuanzhen immediately expressed some of his doubts about cultivation. Yin-Yang 5 Elements Kunping Technique? Lu Changxing listened to his son's concern about the technique, his eyebrows slightly raised, then he explained and resolved his confusion. Although he hadn't studied this particular technique. But he, Lu Mountain Lord, possessed 2 true immortal level techniques and several orthodox level cultivation techniques. Even if he was dull, with so many techniques as a foundation, he could easily answer such minor questions from Lu Chuanzhen. Even because of the Yin-Yang creation scripture, he could offer Lu Chuanzhen some guidance and inspiration from a higher perspective on the way of Yin and Yang. Sure enough, after hearing his father's advice, Lu Chuanzhen had many insights and even gained a deeper understanding of the Yin-Yang 5 Elements Kunping technique on his own. Thank you, father. Lu Chuanzhen bowed to Lu Changxing, thinking to himself that he truly was his father. Without even knowing his own cultivation technique details, he could provide such profound insights. Could his father actually be some reincarnated nascent soul true lord or even a divinity transformation esteemed being? Was he a second-generation immortal? Yet his treatment indeed seems somewhat like that of a second-generation immortal. If you have any confusion about cultivation in the future, just come and ask me. Lu Changxing, unaware of his son's thoughts, chuckled lightly. This kind of mentoring made him, a father, feel quite accomplished. After all, he could put so many techniques to use. Perhaps relying on his own understanding of techniques, his son could carve out his own path from the original techniques. Your child understands. Lu Chuanzhen replied respectfully. By the way, father, previously in the Purple Shadow Secret Realm? At that moment, Lu Chuanzhen thought of something concerning his elder brother Lu Pingan and Qin Yi. He had then realized that his elder brother had some unspeakable difficulties and was not at ease meeting Qin Yi. Now seeing the formidable foundation of his own family, and just the tip of the iceberg of his father's capabilities, he somewhat guessed it might be related to his elder brother's talents. However, such matters not being discussed at home, he would not ask further, but thought it necessary to at least mention his brother's situation to his father. After all, his elder brother's temperament would definitely not let him tell their father, preferring to keep it in his heart and forever regretting in the end. This young lady does have quite the character. Lu Changxing, hearing this, showed a slightly amused expression on his face. However, hearing that the young lady took such an initiative and his son had no reaction made him shake his head involuntarily, somewhat vexed at his son's passivity. If he had been proactive, perhaps they would already have children. Chuanzhen, you are considerate. I will talk with Pingan about this matter later. Lu Changxing said to his son, planning to have a chat with Lu Pingan later. However, he also felt that his son was weighed down with too much responsibility and might not be able to overcome this hurdle, probably not leading to much in their discussion. Perhaps, let Wang Shu send a few letters to the Heavenly Sword sect in Pingan's name, that way Pingan won't be able to back out later. Lu Changxing stroked his chin, thinking to himself. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, more than 3 months had gone by. As Li Xingrua broke through to Foundation establishment and gained divine sense, her progress in alchemy was incredibly fast, and she was expected to soon advance to a second-rank middle-grade alchemist. Faced with this situation, Lu Changxing felt that the alchemy room at home was somewhat small. He hired people to upgrade the alchemy room, preparing to install 5 earth fire furnaces inside. This way he could work on multiple elixir medicines simultaneously with Li Xingrua. Since Li Xingrua had broken through to Foundation establishment, Lu Changxing had been taking special care of her during these days and nights. However, since both were Foundation establishment cultivators, conceiving a child was relatively difficult, so they had not yet had a child. It was just recently that Zhao Qingqing came to stay at By Lake Mountain, and today she sent a letter saying she was pregnant, which made Lu Changxing quite happy. Previously, when his son Lu Chuanzhen broke through to Foundation establishment, he acquired a spiritual body inheritance rate bloodline effect. Since both he and Zhao Qingqing possessed a spiritual body, perhaps there was hope for a child with a spiritual body? Immediately, Lu Changxing planned to visit Zhao Qingqing at Qingyun sect in a few days. Boom. Just then Lu Changxing suddenly felt a surge of dense mana enter his body, transforming into droplets of liquid mana in the Qi ocean core. Buzz buzz buzz. In an instant, as this liquid mana consolidated, Lu Changxing felt his realm was on the verge of breaking through, advancing to the 8th level of foundation building. Is this Lu Qingshan breaking through to foundation building? Lu Changxing immediately guessed that it was his son, Lu Qingshan, who had broken through far away in Yu country's Jianghu sect. After all, calculating the time, 2 years had passed since the Purple Shadow secret realm, and with Lu Qingshan's situation he should have broken through to foundation building by now. He guessed this breakthrough was likely due to travel delays or a consolidation of cultivation level. Name, Lu Qingshan. Lifespan, 27 of 238, talent, 6th grade spiritual root, Gingjin body constitution, medium grade spirit body, cultivation level, foundation building first layer, talent, sword Dao compatibility, 91%, TSK worthy of being my son Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing looked at the system panel before him, a smile appearing on his face. Both his age and his talent in sword Dao were incredibly impressive. Speaking of which, is sword Dao compatibility at 100% the maximum value? Lu Changxing wondered silently. He didn't look further, closed the attribute panel, and went to his cave mansion to prepare for his breakthrough. Instantly, without his suppression, the liquid mana in the Qi ocean core explosively expanded, breaking through forcefully. In that moment, without needing any external potent spiritual pressure, the liquid mana in the Qi ocean core reached its limit, directly resulting in a successful breakthrough for Lu Changxing to the 8th layer of foundation building. Finally, the 8th layer of foundation building, just one more layer to the 9th. Lu Changxing quietly sensed the changes following his breakthrough. Feeling the pace of his progress, he might reach the 9th layer of foundation building relying on his children, even before he completely mastered the Yin-Yang creation scripture. However, Pingan should be close to breaking through foundation building as well, right? Lu Changxing thought to himself and then continued to meditate to stabilize the newly advanced mana. After half a month of closed-door cultivation, Lu Changxing exited the Mount Sumeru cave heaven, came to the Lu family mansion, and immediately heard some shocking news that shook the Jianghu country cultivation realm. The core formation old ancestor from the beast-taming Su family, one of Jianghu country's 3 great clans, left seclusion and approached the 5 Elements royal family, smashing their clan gate with a single slap. Chapter 997. 5 Elements Royal Family, 3rd Order Puppet. Chapter 997. Chapter 356. 5 Elements Royal Family, 3rd Order Puppet. The core formation old ancestor of the Su family has shattered the mountain gate of the 5 Elements Royal Family? Lu Changxing was shocked when he heard this news. This was definitely a major event. It must be understood that in the cultivation world, every power-valued face. Just like him with Golden Dragon Ridge. What seemed like a small matter, a conflict with the great elder of the Jin family. But in the eyes of the Jin family and others, it was as if Golden Dragon Ridge's face had been slapped, and they must regain their standing. The reason the Jin family hadn't made a move against Bihu Lake Mountain was simply due to inadequate strength. If the Jin family produced another false core immortal and had enough strength, they would certainly attack Bihu Lake Mountain immediately. And shattering someone else's mountain gate was even more severe. It was outright face-slapping, trampling the opponent's family underfoot. The beast-taming Su family and the 5 Elements royal family were both nascent soul-level powers, standing tall in Jianghu country for 1,000 years, their might astonishing, considered behemoths, with few daring to provoke them. Now that the elder ancestor of the Su family had actually shattered the mountain gate of the Wang family, it definitely qualified as a major event. Rumor has it that all disciples of the beast-taming Su family died in the Purple Shadow secret realm, and their false core patriarch was killed on the way back. This has enraged the beast-taming Su family, and the core formation old ancestor has emerged from seclusion. After investigation, the beast-taming Su family declared that the 5 Elements royal family was behind this, so the Su family's patriarch personally went to demand an explanation. Lu Miaoyun poured tea for Lu Changxing as she spoke. Because of the incident in the Purple Shadow secret realm? Lu Changxing was momentarily stunned upon hearing this. Others might not understand what was going on, but he was well aware. In total, the beast-taming Su family had 10 disciples, Besides one who met with an accident and died, the other 9 were killed by his own 2 sons. And the Su family's false core patriarch was killed by him. How could the beast-taming Su family blame this on the 5 Elements royal family? Well, there's also a rumor that the beast-taming Su family couldn't determine who was responsible, so they used this to leverage authority over the 5 Elements royal family. Lu Miaoyan continued. Using the 5 Elements royal family to establish authority? The beast-taming Su family seems a bit overbearing, don't they? Lu Changxing frowned slightly, feeling it unreasonable. Even if the 5 Elements royal family wasn't as deeply rooted as the beast-taming Su family, they were still a nascent soul-level power with a nascent soul immortal in charge. Facing such huge disgrace as having their mountain gate destroyed, how could they swallow this insult? If the Wang family couldn't regain their standing for the next decades or even a century, others would remember that the Wang family had their mountain gate shattered by the beast-taming Su family. Hence, to establish authority, they wouldn't stop at nothing with the Wang family, which seemed unreasonable to Lu Changxing. There must be other reasons. Could it be possible that the Su family really believes the Wang family killed their false core patriarch? Lu Changxing thought to himself. Husband, do you remember the beast tide from 15 years ago? Lu Miaoyan spoke softly. Of course I remember. Lu Changxing sipped his tea and nodded. That year's demon beast tide was a once-in-hundreds-of-years event. Not only was the spirit-taming sect severely damaged, losing 2 nascent soul immortals and a 3rd-order demon beast, but the Azure Phoenix Immortal City was also nearly breached. And the Xiahou Wuwa he had killed had also participated in that demon beast tide, so he remembered it very clearly. There were rumors before that the elder ancestor of the Su family was seriously injured during the beast tide, his condition unknown. There were also rumors that bad news concerning the Su family was circulating. This incident in the Purple Shadow Secret Realm was seen by the Su family as targeted and probing by other powers, hence the Su family had to respond strongly. However, opinions on this matter are divided, and there even were rumors pointing fingers at the 4 great immortal sects, but the Su family couldn't possibly confront the 4 great immortal sects to lay accusations, so after choosing from equal-level powers, they targeted the weakest among them, the Wang family. Lu Miaoyan came behind Lu Changxing, massaging his shoulders as she spoke. The matter between the Su family and the Wang family had been causing quite a stir recently. And she, knowing of her husband's affair with Su Rian, thus sought to learn more about this incident. Good heavens, this can also be seen as a serendipitous mistake. Lu Changxing was somewhat speechless, not expecting his casually executed actions to make the Su family suspect the 4 great immortal sects. But upon reflection it made sense. Aside from the 4 great immortal sects, what other force had the capability to target the Su family? He continued to inquire, then what is the Wang family's attitude in this matter? Rumor has it that when the elder ancestor of the Su family went to the 5 Elements royal family this time, not only did he bring his 3rd-order spirit beast, the Earth Dragon beast, but also a 3rd-rank Shen turtle and 800 Fire Crow Dao soldiers. Ancestor Wang of the Wang family can only counterbalance the elder ancestor of the Su family by depending on the family's great formation. If Ancestor Wang were to leave the family great formation, he could possibly be suppressed by the elder ancestor of the Su family, so the Wang family can only swallow this silent loss, causing the reputation of the beast-taming Su family to surge remarkably. On Lu Miaoyan's ethereal face, there was full of emotion. Even though she knew her own family had already far surpassed many surrounding family forces. But hearing of the formidable strength of the beast-taming Su family still sent a shiver through her heart. 2 3rd-order spirit beasts and Dao soldiers only bred by top-tier powers. Such a lineup could normally far surpass a nascent soul immortal. Wow, this lineup really is luxurious. With this, it seems the Wang family is completely blocked by the elder ancestor of the Su family. Hearing this, Lu Changxing also couldn't help but be moved. He thought to himself that the beast-taming Su family really was strong and overbearing. A nascent soul immortal, equipped with 2 3rd-order demon beasts and 800 Dao soldiers, was likely unmatched in the core formation realm. And the fact that the elder ancestor of the Su family dared such an expedition probably meant there were unknown 3rd-order spirit beasts guarding their home. Otherwise, under normal circumstances they wouldn't take such a risk. It seems the 5 Elements royal family really is in decline. If they can't bring forth a leader to turn the tide, I'm afraid it will be difficult for the 5 Elements royal family to maintain their reputation. Chapter 998, 5 Elements Royal Family, 3rd Order Puppet. Chapter 998, Chapter 356, 5 Elements Royal Family Third Order Puppet. Lu Changxing sipped his tea, reflecting aloud. As far as he knew, the 5 Elements Royal Family was a nascent soul force that had risen to power in the last 1,000 years. Initially a small energy refining family, their ancestors' tomb miraculously emitted a golden light, and the family produced a peerless genius with the 5 Elements physique. It was this individual's meteoric rise that transformed the previously obscure Wang family into a nascent soul noble family. The words 5 Elements in the 5 Elements Royal Family were derived from the Taoist title of the family's patriarch. But with the passing of this patriarch, the once flourishing 5 Elements Royal Family began to decline. After all, not every family had the foundation of beasts like the beast-taming Su family, with third-rank demon beasts, Dao soldiers and so on. The 5 Elements Royal Family had risen too quickly. It was all supported by a single patriarch. And the patriarch's cultivation techniques, heritage, magical treasures and so on, could only unleash their full potential in the hands of someone with the 5 Elements physique. Considering how rare the 5 Elements physique was, it was highly unlikely that the Wang family would be fortunate enough to produce another such talent. Therefore, after the patriarch's passing, although the Wang family still had nascent soul immortals in its ranks, there was no one who could hold the family together. They could only rely on their ancestors' legacy and slowly deplete it, maintaining the status quo, which led the family down a path of continual decline. Now, the dealings between the beast-taming Su family and the 5 Elements Royal Family made Lu Changxing feel that the Wang family was indeed no longer viable. Otherwise, they would not have allowed the elder ancestor of the Su family to block their door and shatter their sex gates without any substantial family heritage or techniques at their disposal. If the 5 Elements Royal Family could not produce a figure who could restore its former glory within 100 years, it was feared that it might fall from the ranks of the great clans after another 100 years. After hearing about the affairs between the beast-taming Su family and the 5 Elements Royal Family, Lu Changxing asked Lu Miaoyan to pay more attention to news of this sort when she had free time. If something happened to these top-tier families, it might affect his own family, so he wanted to be kept informed. Lu Changxing then went to check on his concubine, Xianxia, about her progress in foundation establishment and asked his son, Lu Yun, about the family business relocation plans. Lu Yun told Lu Changxing that the family business had already planned the relocation and could move to White Tiger Mountain at any time. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changxing instructed Lu Xianxia to establish a puppet subsidiary on White Tiger Mountain to conduct a pilot test. If there were no issues, they would start the full relocation after Lu Pinggan had made his foundation establishment breakthrough. Yes, father, Lu Yun nodded in response. Lu Changxing continued to inquire about the family, particularly about his children. It was possible that due to situations like Li Feiyu's, many of his children were inclined to leave home and seek their fortunes through trials and tribulations. For example, their daughter, Lu Rui, after the White Tiger Mountain events, had resigned from her position, fully devoted herself to cultivation, and after breaking through to the 7th level of energy refinement, she also applied to go out and seek her own path. Sigh. Hearing what Lu Yun had said, Lu Changxing let out a sigh of relief and said, Yuner, as for the resources for the family's cultivation, you may consider increasing them slightly according to the situation. Also, you can let the family members know that the family currently has a way to obtain foundation establishment elixirs, and as soon as they can refine their energy to the peak, they can apply for a foundation establishment elixir. Lu Changxing said so. Previously, the family had always provided encouragement in terms of procreation. As for cultivation, the family benefits were good, but the incentives were moderate. Now that the family was not lacking foundation establishment elixirs, Lu Changxing felt that they could provide more incentive in this area. As long as his children were ambitious enough, even with a lower-grade spiritual root, he was willing to give them foundation establishment elixirs to attempt foundation establishment. A channel for foundation establishment elixirs. Lu Yun was shocked to hear this. After Lu Changxing had him deliver a foundation establishment elixir to Jianghu Mountain, he guessed that his father must still have more. He never realized his father actually had a channel for foundation establishment elixirs within the family. Father, I think such information should not be announced to the family. If word gets out, it might cause trouble. If there are brothers or sisters who break through to the late stage of energy refinement, I will speak to them about this matter. What do you think? Lu Yun said so. That's fine, you can arrange as you see fit, Lu Changxing nodded. He seldom interfered in family affairs. He only occasionally provided a direction on major matters, leaving the specifics to his children to handle. After chatting with his son, Lu Yun, Lu Changxing went to visit his other children. After inquiring about their well-being, Lu Changxing let Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyan know, and then he went to Qingyun's sect to visit Zhao Qingqing. Now upon arriving at Qingyun's sect, for some reason, Lu Changxing felt somewhat apprehensive in his heart. He was afraid of walking around Qingyun's sect with Zhao Qingqing and running into Xiaoxia's master, Kaiyun True Immortal. After seeing Zhao Qingqing, Lu Changxing could tell that she was indeed carrying the breath of life in her belly, and he was overjoyed. He stayed at Qingyun's sect with Zhao Qingqing for half a month. After leaving Qingyun's sect, Lu Changxing thought he should visit Xiaoxia at the Luoyin mountain range. Sigh, these are just a few who are away. If I had wives and Dao companions spread across the 5 lakes and 4 seas, I'm afraid I'd be too busy to manage. Lu Changxing couldn't help but lament. He planned to go home and at that time, bring his daughter Lu Wangshu with him. Although this daughter was like a third wheel, affecting his own practice of the Sun-Moon Samsara technique with Xiaoxia, the mother and daughter had always been apart more than together, and he still hoped that they could spend more time together. Congratulations to the host for the birth of 300 descendants, you have earned 1 lottery draw. When Lu Changxing had just returned to Bihu Lake Mountain, a system prompt sounded in his mind. 300 already? A hint of emotion appeared in Lu Changxing's eyes. Back when there were 200 members in the younger generation, the number of his own children also happened to be 200. But now his own children numbered only 218, while the grandchildren had reached 300. As time went on, this number would become increasingly divergent. After all, he had been most prolific in creating children during the first 20 years. It was also these children who mostly consisted of mortals. At that moment, Lu Changxing suddenly remembered that he seemed to have not visited the Rui County Lu family in quite some time. Sigh. Lu Changxing sighed and directly returned to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. The environment within the cave heaven was incredibly beautiful at that time. Due to the fact that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge rarely cultivated, only Ling Zixiao and Bai Ling's practice consumed spiritual energy, causing spiritual mist to linger around the spirit spring, like a fairyland on earth. Beside the medicine garden were 2 log cabins, but Lu Pingan spent most of his time stationed on White Tiger Mountain. Lu Chuanzhen had already gone out and left Bihu Lake Mountain some time ago. System lottery draw. Lu Changxing looked at the medicine garden, which showed no change in appearance, and silently thought. Immediately, the lottery wheel appeared and the golden light spun. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a 3rd order puppet. The reward has been issued to the system space, the host can check it at any time. A 3rd order puppet? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing's eyebrows raised. He was naturally more than familiar with puppets. Not only had he crafted many second-rank puppets himself, but the main profit of the family also came from puppets. However, the highest grade puppet he had been in contact with up to now was only a 2nd order superior. Since high-tier puppet materials were scarce and hard to find, and the production was very troublesome and time-consuming, he had so far crafted only 1 2nd order superior puppet. With regard to 3rd order puppets, even Lu Changxing had only heard of them and had not come into contact with one. Puppet masters were not as popular as formations, pills, talismans, or artifacts. Whether the Jianghu country cultivation realm even had a 3rd order puppet master was another matter. It is said that some 3rd order puppets can act like Dao soldiers, executing certain orders without the need for full control by divine sense. I wonder if the system-made puppets are this kind of top-grade puppet. Full of anticipation, Lu Changxing looked towards the system space. Puppet, 1,000 Faces Puppet Fox. Grade, 3rd order. Description: the heartwork of the puppet spirit sex Qinji True Immortal, a puppet designed after the 1,000 Faces demon fox. Furthermore, the soul of his wife was infused into it, granting the puppet simple cognitive thinking and maximizing its effectiveness and abilities. The introduction of the puppet in front of him startled Lu Changxing. Although he expected high-tier puppets would certainly be extraordinary, and the products from the system were usually impressive, this was truly somewhat weird, wasn't it? Creating a puppet modeled after the 1,000 Faces demon fox was understandable to Lu Changxing. Most puppets do take the form of demon beasts. For instance, using the complete skeleton of a demon beast to craft a puppet would generally attempt to replicate the original form of the demon beast, optimizing the puppet's combat capability and functional efficiency. But what was this about infusing his wife's soul into it? Was such a high price really necessary to give a puppet a certain level of simple consciousness and thought? Retrieve. Lu Changxing was indeed curious to see what was so impressive about this 3rd order puppet. Chapter 999. Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging Azure Phoenix Immortal. Chapter 999, Chapter 357. Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging Azure Phoenix Immortal. In an instant, a beautiful woman with silver white hair and fox-like charm, appearing to be in her mid-30s, materialized before Lu Changxing. Master. This beautiful woman, with a complexion like peach blossoms and cheeks flushed red, gave Lu Changxing a graceful bow with her enchanting, misty eyes. Thousand Faces Puppet Fox. Lu Changxing, looking at the beautiful woman before him, showed a hint of surprise in his eyes. It was too realistic. Had he not known that the beautiful woman was a puppet, he would have thought she was real. Her seductively charming face was pale with a captivating blush, her alluring eyes were incredibly expressive. Her silver white hair cascaded down to her waist, and atop her head were a pair of sharp snowy white fox ears, about 6 inches long. Her figure was tall and exquisite, exuding a wild charm. She wore a blue dress and was draped in a luxurious, delicate snowy white fur cape. Beneath the hem of her dress and cape, 2 long straight legs were adorned with white and blue gradient lace stockings, and she stood in a pair of tall wooden clogs. A snowy white fox tail twisted and coiled behind her, likely over 2 meters long. The appearance, voice, essence, and even the skin of the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox before him nearly achieved a level of deception that blurred the lines between fake and real. Lu Changxing couldn't help but marvel. It was a creation by a nascent soul immortal, who had even sacrificed his wife's soul into the puppet. It was extraordinary. After retrieving the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox from the system space, Lu Changxing gained a detailed understanding of this puppet. Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, a third-rank middle-grade puppet. It excelled in illusion techniques, charm, and transformation. As to why the Azure Phoenix Immortal would instill his wife's soul into this puppet, Lu Changxing understood too. The puppet spirit sect possessed a secret puppet technique called Spirit Infusion Technique. It involved refining the soul of a human or demon and infusing it into a puppet. This grants the puppet a certain degree of sentience and consciousness for easier training, management, and control. The higher the grade of the infused soul, the greater the puppet's consciousness, intelligence, learning capability, and combat strength among other aspects. Thus, the Azure Phoenix Immortal, to perfect this puppet, had refined his beloved wife's soul and infused it into this Thousand Faces Puppet Fox. TSK, is this what a true puppet master is like? It's rather twisted. Lu Changxing found this behavior incomprehensible and was profoundly shocked. However, considering rumors that some artifact refiners, in order to create their ultimate artifact, would sacrifice themselves, he guessed it was the same principle. But your wife benefits me now, Lu Changxing mused internally. He then asked the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox before him, "What is your name?" According to the system, this puppet had a basic level of consciousness and cognitive ability, capable of undertaking many tasks. Of course, if Lu Changxing wished, he could also control this puppet directly using the puppet control technique. However, for puppets with infused spirits and consciousness like this one, direct control was likely less effective than letting the puppet's consciousness take charge. Responding to the master, "This servant's name is Su Rongrong." The Thousand Faces Puppet Fox said softly with a seductive smile. "All right, henceforth I'll call you Su Rongrong." Lu Changxing replied casually, not particularly concerned with the name. He then extended his hand and caressed the puppet's plump, fair skin, squeezing it a couple of times. The feel and temperature of her skin were similar to that of a human, almost identical. Only when squeezed firmly could he feel a slight difference. But to Lu Changxing, this craftsmanship was already the pinnacle of perfection. "Try using an illusion technique on me," Lu Changxing said, curious to see this puppet's capability in illusion combat. "Yes, master." The Thousand Faces Puppet Fox giggled behind her hand, her seductive eyes spinning webs of enchantment, making Lu Changxing's spirit waver as if he were surrounded by warm and soft jade. Countless stunning beauties, dressed in sheer garments, slid off their robes to dance around him, performing dances that stirred the soul, emitting entrancing, intoxicating melodies. Even though Lu Changxing was prepared, aware of being subjected to an illusion, the scene before his eyes, the heady sweet fragrance in his nose, and the smooth softness of enticing bodies still instinctively made him want to relax his mind and wholeheartedly savor the experience. Buzz. At that moment, the jade pendant at Lu Changxing's waist and the pendant around his neck vibrated with a humming sound, seemingly to remind him that this was an illusion, a divine consciousness secret technique. However, these spiritual artifacts were limited in effect and stood little chance against such a powerful nascent soul divine consciousness secret technique. No good. Lu Changxing realized the huge gap. This level of illusion technique couldn't be resisted merely with willpower. It was absolutely a crushing blow from a higher realm of divine consciousness. Although he was experienced and strong-willed in the matter of romance, and his divine consciousness far surpassed that of fellow cultivators at the same level, nearly equivalent to false core, yet facing the nascent soul-level divine consciousness secret technique of the Thousand Faces puppet fox, he was still found wanting. But just as he was about to stop the illusion, a burst of light from the Lu family genealogy inside him cleared his mind. Does the genealogy also have such an effect? Lu Changxing was taken aback just then realizing this effect of his family genealogy. Previously, the system had only introduced 3 functions of the genealogy and had not mentioned this effect. This is indeed a pleasant surprise. Joy surged through Lu Changxing's heart, and he told Su Rongrong to stop the illusion technique. Buzz. The scene before him instantly shattered. Given this illusion technique, probably even a typical nascent soul immortal would be affected. Lu Changxing nodded silently, then continued to the Su Rongrong before him, change into another appearance for me to see, Just transform into my likeness. Yes, master. Instantly, the Thousand Faces puppet fox's body shifted with a flow of mana, slowly transforming to look exactly like Lu Changxing. TSK, this transformation technique is really something special. Chapter 1000, Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging the Azure Phoenix Immortal. Chapter 1000, Chapter 357, Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging the Azure Phoenix Immortal. Lu Changxing examined the puppet version of himself and couldn't help but praise aloud. He thought to himself, indeed, a product of the system must be top grade. Unless the Thousand Faces Puppet Fox took action, it would be very hard to spot any flaws with just such an inspection. But unless it was someone close or if the two had fought before even in a duel, it would be difficult to distinguish the true from the false for a while. This is the true path of puppetry. Lu Changxing looked at the Thousand Faces puppet fox before him and couldn't hold back his sigh. When compared to this third-order puppet, the second-rank puppets he had created before were nothing but crap. With this Thousand Faces puppet fox, in future battles as long as the fox puppet could charm the opponent through illusion and create a breach in their mental spirit, he would be able to punch them out with a single blow. However, I still need to be careful when facing enemies because once this kind of puppet is damaged, there's no way to repair it. Lu Changxing immediately realized a problem. As powerful as these puppets were, they were still consumables that required maintenance. Although the Thousand Faces puppet fox possessed some self-repair capabilities, if it sustained significant damage, it naturally wouldn't be able to fix itself and would require a puppet master's intervention. And even though he was a second-tier top-level puppet master, he didn't have the ability to repair such a puppet. If I consider maintenance and repairs, it suddenly seems a bit less appealing. Lu Changxing looked at the puppet before him and sighed. After pondering for a moment, he took a jade slip from his storage bag and imprinted part of its content with his divine sense. Then he handed it to Su Rongrong and said, "Try to craft a puppet according to the blueprint and let me see." Although the Thousand Faces puppet fox was a combat puppet, skilled in illusion, charm and transformation techniques, Su Rongrong had been a puppet master in her previous life and was quite capable of learning puppet-related skills. So as long as Lu Changxing trained her slowly after some time, this Thousand Faces puppet fox should have no problem crafting second-rank puppets. Moreover, although the Thousand Faces puppet fox needed to embed spirit stones to consume mana, it had a core puppet crystal within. This puppet crystal could absorb nature's spiritual energy on its own and store mana. So if this puppet was used for menial labor, the maintenance costs would be almost nil. Yes, master. Su Rongrong, though behaving like a real person, was ultimately a puppet. Lacking genuine human emotion, she could only obey Lu Changxing's commands without true feelings. Of course, if Lu Changxing continually trained and taught her, she might become somewhat more human-like. After studying the puppet blueprints given by Lu Changxing, Su Rongrong began to attempt forging a puppet with the materials provided. A puppet of this caliber could already be called a Dao soldier. Lu Changxing watched Su Rongrong and mused to himself. He couldn't help but look forward to the system drawing a puppet-related legacy technique. The puppet skills provided by the system were comprehensive, but none were rare or profound. Just like the many talismans he used, They came from the 99 mystical talisman scripture, and not from a talisman path inheritance. Wait, isn't there already an extant third-order puppet right before my eyes? If I can understand its principles and skills, perhaps I could advance to be a third-order puppet master. Lu Changxing looked at the thousand faces puppet fox before him and had a thought. Such a puppet held great value for research to a puppet master. I, Lu Changxing, have come this far thanks to my own hard work. Today I shall use my exceptional wisdom, supreme comprehension, and relentless effort to advance to be a third-order puppet master. Lu Changxing, looking at the thousand faces puppet fox, was emotionally stirred and spoke with inspiration. He then began to train the thousand faces puppet fox, studying its underlying principles and craftsmanship, hoping to gain some insights from it in order to advance to a third-order puppet master. Half a month later. Damn it, system, show some spirit and let me see what you're made of. Lu Changxing cursed as he examined the thousand faces puppet fox. Despite being a second-tier top-level puppet master, after studying for so long, he still completely failed to understand the principles of this third-order puppet. Especially the soul injection aspect, which left him utterly baffled without a single lead. However, it was since he dared not dismantle the puppet for deeper research, merely skimming the surface. But it must be said, the thousand faces puppet fox was truly lifelike. Even if he wanted to dismantle it, Lu Changxing felt rather at a loss on where to begin. Immediately after, Lu Changxing gave up on researching the humanoid figure and went out with his daughter Lu Wangshu to have fun, visiting Xianxia in the Luoyun mountain range. Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family. Lu Qingshan, disciple of Tianyuan true immortal from Yu country's Jinyang sect, nascent soul seed of Jinyang sect, son of Lu Changxing from Bihu Lake Mountain, grandson of Lu Yuanding from Qingzhou Mountain. The patriarch of Jin family looked at the message in his hand, shocked to the core. The Jin family's members had perished in the Purple Shadow secret realm years ago, so they had been monitoring this information closely. They wanted to know if there had been any special circumstances in the Purple Shadow secret realm back then, to see if other forces were targeting their family. Unexpectedly, they stumbled upon such news. Lu Changxing of Bihu Lake Mountain. The patriarch of Jin family had a grave expression. Although in recent years Bihu Lake Mountain had kept a low profile without much activity, even the White Tiger Mountain that they took over was left semi-neglected, with only the mining operations being managed and nearly all other matters being nearly abandoned. Nevertheless, they kept a close watch on the situation of the Lu family at all times. But they had never imagined that Lu Changxing had hidden his depths so well. That he had such an astonishingly gifted son in Yu country's Jinyang sect. If in a few decades or a century the son grew up, their family would be utterly insignificant in comparison. Chapter 1001. Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging the Azure Phoenix Immortal. Chapter 1001. Chapter 357. Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging the Azure Phoenix Immortal. No, we must find a way to take back White Tiger Mountain, the patriarch of Jin family said with a grave expression, calculating in his heart. White Tiger Mountain was adjacent to Golden Dragon Ridge. If this Lu Qingshan became a nascent soul immortal in the future, not to mention a nascent soul immortal, even as a false core immortal, his Jin family would be restless. Immediately, the patriarch of the Jin family reported the news, hoping that the family would continue to elevate the significance of Bai Lake Mountain, and also find a way to take back White Tiger Mountain. In his view, White Tiger Mountain could be in the hands of other families, but it absolutely couldn't be in the hands of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Luoyun Mountain Range. Is the secret realm about to end? Lu Changxing said with a smile on his face upon hearing Xiaoxia's words. Yes, based on the current progress, if nothing unexpected happens, the secret realm will end in as short as half a year, or as long as 2 or 3 years, Xiaoxia replied, holding her daughter in her arms, her cold and noble visage filled with a gentle hue as she spoke softly. Shiyu, once the secret realm is over, there should be quite a few rewards from Qingyun sect, right? Lu Changxing asked. He remembered that Xiaoxia had been in this secret realm for almost 10 years. I and my fellow sister have both made no small gains in the secret realm. Once it ends, the sect will give rewards based on the situation, Xiaoxia said as such. Mother, what does it look like inside the secret realm? Lu Wangshu asked, frowning her delicate nose with curiosity upon thinking of her mother being in the secret realm for so long. If the sect decides to open the secret realm to the outside after it ends, Mother will take you to see it, Xiaoxia said, affectionately stroking her daughter's hair. The opening of the secret realm, Could it be similar to the Purple Shadow Secret Realm? Lu Changxing raised his brow and inquired. Different from the Purple Shadow Secret Realm, I cannot disclose the specifics for now, Xianxia replied. However, if this secret realm opens, Changxing and Wangshu, if you can enter, there will be benefits. Hearing this, Lu Changxing did not ask further. He knew that such matters would definitely not be disclosed by Qingyun sect. The fact that Xianxia was even able to say this much was already the limit. Then the family of three spent time sightseeing in the surrounding area. Because Xianxia was preoccupied with affairs and couldn't stay away for too long. After half a month of sightseeing, they had to return to the secret realm. Facing this situation, Lu Changxing naturally did not make it difficult for her. After parting ways, he continued to take his daughter sightseeing in other places, even reaching the territory of the Wuxia sect. However, being part of the Jianghu country cultivation realm, there was not much difference between the territories of Wuxia sect and Qingyun sect. During their travels, Lu Changxing heard some startling news. A nascent soul immortal named White Peak had gone to Azure Phoenix Immortal City to issue a challenge, confronting the Azure Phoenix Immortal. Lu Changxing had not heard of this White Peak Immortal before. Only after making inquiries did he learn that White Peak Immortal had been an independent cultivator in Jianghu country with a rather high reputation 100 years ago. Later, for some unknown reason, he left the cultivation world of Jianghu country. Why would this White Peak Immortal dare challenge Azure Phoenix Immortal? Is it because of the old rumors that Azure Phoenix Immortal was severely injured? Lu Changxing was puzzled. It was known that as Jianghu Kingdom's #1 independent cultivator, the combat power of Azure Phoenix Immortal was unquestionable. Why would White Peak Immortal dare to challenge Azure Phoenix Immortal in Azure Phoenix Immortal City? But after making inquiries, all Lu Changxing found out was that White Peak Immortal had enmity with Azure Phoenix Immortal. Leaving the cultivation world of Jianghu country back then had something to do with Azure Phoenix Immortal. Specific details about the grudge, the level of combat power, and why he challenged Azure Phoenix Immortal were not available. Alas, the news in such small places is still not well informed. If I were in Jiuxiao Immortal City, I could easily buy information from Heaven Knowledge Tower. Lu Changxing shook his head, no longer wasting time on gathering news. He planned to have Lu Miaoyun or Zhao Qingqing look into this matter for him after he returned home. Soon, after a good amount of sightseeing, he took Lu Wangshu back to Bai Lake Mountain. 4 months later, Lu Changxing and his daughter returned to Bai Lake Mountain. The father and daughter had been out sightseeing for nearly half a year. However, during this trip, Lu Changxing deeply realized that his dilapidated spirit boat was not up to speed. He was quite envious of the elder ancestor of the Su family's 9-headed wind thunder steed-driven carriage. Not only was it impressive, but its speed was also several times that of his spirit boat. Thinking about when the system would finally get its act together and give him some magical treasures for his spirit boat. Going out on my own like this, I could save quite a bit of time on the journey. Upon returning to Baiyun Peak, Lu Changxing instructed Lu Wangshu to diligently cultivate in the coming days, then asked Lu Miaoyun if anything had happened at home during this time. Lu Miaoyun indicated that nothing of note had occurred at home. However, not long ago, a foundation establishment cultivator had expressed a desire to establish a family force and was interested in purchasing White Tiger Mountain, inquiring if the Lu family was willing to sell. Purchasing White Tiger Mountain? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow upon hearing this. If one were to establish a family force, White Tiger Mountain was hardly a desirable location. It wasn't that the spirit land was inadequate, but being adjacent to Golden Dragon Ridge, any family wishing to develop peacefully would have no choice but to kowtow to Golden Dragon Ridge. No need to concern ourselves with such matters. Our family is gaining more and more foundation establishment members. Once Pingon makes his foundation establishment breakthrough, I shall have Yuner make arrangements to relocate our family workshop to White Tiger Mountain. Lu Changxing said so. Yes, I've discussed this matter with Yuner. Lu Miaoyun was aware of this plan and merely mentioned this incident to Lu Changxing, indicating that the foundation establishment cultivator might have been sent by the Jin family, as spirit land prices are incredibly expensive. The foundation establishment cultivator previously belonged to a minor chi refinement family. How could he possibly afford to purchase White Tiger Mountain? It's not outside the realm of possibility after all. The Jin family would definitely not be pleased to see White Tiger Mountain remain in our hands. Lu Changxing said with a chuckle. He was aware of the Jin family's ill intentions towards his own. He also knew that the Jin family was waiting for the right moment, gathering strength. Once they had amassed sufficient power, they might take action against his family. But he too was waiting, When the time was nearly right, he would make Golden Dragon Ridge bear the name Lu. After all, given his family's circumstances, if they did not seize more, his children would have to travel far away to establish branch families in the future. By the way, Yuner, are you aware of what's happened in Azure Phoenix Immortal City? Lu Changxing inquired. Is husband referring to the challenge issued by White Peak Immortal against Azure Phoenix Immortal? Lu Miaoyan responded. Previously, Lu Changxing had instructed her to keep an eye on this news. Therefore, she had been consistently attentive to various information within the cultivation world. By Lake Mountain had Zhao Qingqing and Red Leaf Valley Market as two sources of information and maintained good relations with many families, making their news network quite responsive. Exactly, has there been a result to the matter? Lu Changxing asked. Yes, not long ago, Qingqing sent a letter mentioning the affair, stating that Azure Phoenix Immortal accepted the challenge, defeating White Peak Immortal in 3 moves. Lu Miaoyan produced a jade slip and spoke. 3 moves? Lu Changxing was taken aback. He had originally thought very highly of White Peak Immortal when he heard about the challenge to Azure Phoenix Immortal. To lose in 3 moves? Where did this confidence come from to challenge someone at their doorstep? According to Qingqing, the fight was a form of probing, with some power trying to gauge the true strength of Azure Phoenix Immortal and whether he was seriously injured. Lu Miaoyan's voice was soft as she explained. Probing? Lu Changxing's brow furrowed, deep in thought. The force daring to probe Azure Phoenix Immortal must be no small entity. Yes, but Qingqing doesn't know the specifics. We've sent someone to Azure Phoenix Immortal City to understand the situation better, but there has been no news yet. Lu Miaoyan continued. Now that By Lake Mountain was considered a power in its own right, it always stayed informed about major events in the Jianghu country cultivation realm. Okay. Lu Changxing nodded, his mind drifting to the recent incident with the beast-taming Su family. It felt as though the cultivation world was outwardly calm but teeming with undercurrents. Even top-tier forces like the beast-taming Su family and Azure Phoenix Immortal City constantly face troubles. Unless one is truly invincible, how could there be no troubles? Lu Changxing shook his head, sighing. Even the Jianghu country cultivation realm's hegemon, Heavenly Sword Sect, had to face invasions from other cultivation realms. The Azure Phoenix Immortal City, dominated by Azure Phoenix Immortal, was a target many coveted. Moreover, considering the recent beast-taming Su family incident, the Su family suspected that the 4 great immortal sects were targeting them. Perhaps, the 4 great immortal sects also had some actions to suppress Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Cultivate. Lu Changxing decided not to worry about these matters. After spending some time tenderly with his wife, Lu Miaoyan, he went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and continued to cultivate his yin-yang creation scripture. Chapter 1002, Minor Qing Spiritual Body Starlight Plate. Chapter 1002, Chapter 358, Minor Qing Spiritual Body Starlight Plate. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Inside Changxing Hall. In the simple and elegant cave mansion, filled with a subtle and refined fragrance. Ling Zixiao lay on the bed, practicing the Sun-Moon Samsara technique with Lu Changxing. Her body was graceful and full, and except for a pair of gossamer white stockings on her feet, she was naked, irresistibly enticing. As the Sun-Moon Samsara technique circulated, the cave mansion seemed to have a sun and moon circling, casting a gentle glow upon their skins, reflecting off each other, making the scene stunningly beautiful, holy and pure. Time passed bit by bit, and as the cultivation technique operated and their positions changed, Ling Zixiao found herself unwittingly by the legs of Lu Miaoga. This fairy, whose clear beauty was like that of water, now lay limp and still as water, glancing shyly at Ling Zixiao who was cultivating with Lu Changxing. Were it not for the fact that Lu Changxing had switched to practicing the yin-yang creation classic, requiring the two of them to help nurture the yin-yang energies, she would rarely accompany Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao in dual cultivation. It wasn't for any other reason. Alone with Ling Zixiao, she felt somewhat inhibited and uncomfortable. Or to put it another way, except for her sister Lu Miaohuan, she felt uncomfortable and shy with all her other sisters at home. However, with more than 2 years of cultivation, she gradually became more comfortable with Ling Zixiao. At this moment, Lu Miaoya's dewy, dreamy eyes caused a stir in Ling Zixiao's heart as she circulated the Sun-Moon Samsara technique. She bowed her head, watching the pair of snow-white, delicate feet encased in thin stockings before her. Her pearly, round feet lay lazily, the arches of her feet the epitome of elegance and softness. Her toes, slender and shapely, were vaguely visible through the gossamer stockings, full of temptation. Possessed by some devilish impulse, she opened her red lips and through the stockings, took her toes into her mouth. The feet were Lu Miage's sensitive spot, and she let out a soft cry, attempting to retract them. But she was already weak all over from practicing the Tai life water technique with Lu Changxing not long ago. Now, with Ling Zixiao teasing her toes, she could not muster the energy. Moreover, she was worried about affecting Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao's cultivation and did not dare to struggle too hard. She could only bury her head in the sand, pretending not to know. In this situation, Ling Zixiao took liberties further, reaching out to hold Lu Miage's other white stocking's slender foot. Her long fingers, like fine onions, caressed the soles and tops of her feet, relishing the smooth and delicate sensation, turning the ethereal fairy shy and bashful, prompting a groan as she tried to draw back her little foot with a bit more force. But Ling Zixiao did not let go. The stockings made of spiritual silkworm thread felt marvelous in both touch and taste. Lu Miage's fragrance, like that of a snow lotus from the heavenly mountains, was also refreshing to the spirit, tempting Ling Zixiao to taste gently, rendering Lu Miage's body taut and powerless. So everyone tastes different, ha! At this moment Ling Zixiao's consciousness was hazy, submerged in the sun-moon samsara technique. She felt that Lu Miage's taste was different from Bai Ling's, uniquely delightful. No wonder Lu Changxing enjoyed playing with and savoring it so much. Lu Changxing at this time was unaware of what Ling Zixiao was thinking and didn't care. All he felt was that the scene before him accelerated the operation of his cultivation technique, the sun and the moon above his head spinning violently, humming loudly as if about to merge into one. Boom. After a long time the sun and moon merged, yin and yang converged. Afterward, Lu Changxing lay quietly cuddling his two dear wives, thoroughly satisfied. With such wives, what more could a man ask? Having such wives to assist in the transformation of the yin-yang creation classic, even if it meant forming golden core or forming a baby, with every child exceptionally talented, possessing spiritual bodies and Taoist bodies, he would be willing. It was a pity Xianxia was in the Luoyun mountain range. Otherwise, with her lunar aura to aid him, he felt the effects would be even better. Lingcui Cliff. It seems this demon tree seed is ultimately lacking. Unless I continuously nurture it with myriad spirits heaven dew, there might be hope for it to advance to a third-rank heaven and earth spiritual plant. Lu Changxing looked at the purple tree before him and shook his head. Previously, he used 2 drops of myriad spirits heaven dew on the auspicious tree to help Chu Xinjin break through to foundation establishment. Now, gathering new myriad spirits heaven dew, he thought of his son Lu Pingan, and Lu Chuanjin who had brought back seeds from the purple shadow secret realm. However, from experimentation he could see that this purple tree was not a seed of a third-rank spirit plant. Unless he continuously nurtured it with myriad spirits heaven dew, there might be a chance for the purple tree to grow continuously and advance to a third-rank tree. But even with the myriad spirits bottle, he couldn't afford to waste it like that. My husband, although this tree is not a heaven and earth spiritual plant, and cannot be refined into a life-bound spiritual root, I see that this tree has the effect of turning turbid energy into spiritual energy. If planted on Lingcui Cliff, it could greatly benefit the spirit veins and spiritual energy. Next to him stood Lu Miaoyun, dressed in a light blue gown, fresh and pure in appearance, speaking about the purple tree. She practiced the heavenly longevity technique, and as a second-rank spiritual plant master, she roughly observed the characteristics and effects of this purple tree. It could absorb the turbid energy of the earth veins and exude strands of spiritual energy. Perhaps 1 or 2 trees would not have much effect, but if dozens could be planted, it would significantly influence the spiritual energy of Lingcui Cliff. Turning turbid energy into spiritual energy? Lu Changxing's brows raised. He had noticed that the purple tree could diffuse strands of spiritual energy, similar to the ornamental spiritual plant that Zhao Qingqing had brought before. But he hadn't realized it had this effect. He immediately used the origin spirit pupillary arc to observe the effect on the earth veins before him. Indeed, as Lu Miaoyun had said, the purple tree absorbed the turbid energy beneath the earth veins as nourishment, then turned it into spiritual energy. Interesting, but it would be difficult to influence the earth veins and upgrade the spirit veins with just a few trees. Too difficult. Lu Changxing shook his head. He had only 4 seeds in his hands. Even if all were planted, they would not have much impact on the spirit veins. It's too bad the purple shadow secret realm only opens every 30 years, and only energy-refining cultivators may enter. Otherwise, we could see the tree demons Pingan and Xuanzhen talked about, and there might be gains to be had. Chapter 1003, Minor Qing Spiritual Body Starlight Plate. Chapter 1003, Chapter 358, Minor Qing Spiritual Body Starlight Plate. Lu Changxing murmured to himself. He planned to wait until the Purple Shadow secret realm opened again, to carefully strategize how to explore this mysterious realm. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, more than a year had passed. In this past year, Lu Changxing had only added 2 children to his family. Li Xingrua and Li Xingyu, both sisters, had successfully conceived his children. The child in Zhao Qingqing's womb was also born. Was a boy. But this child's talent was very ordinary, possessing only a 5th grade spiritual root. Faced with this situation, Lu Changxing sighed slightly. But he also understood that with both parents being foundation establishment cultivators and possessing a spiritual body, the likelihood of their child's talent having a spiritual body was only relatively higher compared to other children. It didn't mean that the child would definitely have exceptional talent. Moreover, speaking of which, a 5th grade spiritual root was already quite decent. It was just that to the current Lu Changxing, only children with top-grade spiritual roots could slightly move his heart. I wonder when I can get another soul fusion resurrection elixir. Lu Changxing was somewhat nostalgic for the effect of the soul fusion resurrection elixir at this moment. When Ling Zixiao gave birth to Lu Lingxiao and Lu Lingyi, although luck played a large part, it also made Lu Changxing realize the effects of the soul fusion resurrection elixir. Thinking that if he could get more of these heaven and earth spiritual materials for preparation, he and his wife Lu Miaoge would have another child. Husband Xingrua is about to give birth. At this time, Lu Miaoyun came to report a piece of news to Lu Changxing that Li Xingruo's child was about to be born. Good. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing immediately went with Lu Miaoyun to visit. As soon as they arrived outside the delivery room, a system prompt suddenly echoed in Lu Changxing's mind, accompanied by a mysterious tremor. Congratulations, host, on siring 6 spiritual body offspring, you have earned 1 lottery chance. Spiritual body? Lu Changxing was startled upon hearing this, followed by a burst of joy in his heart. He had not expected Li Xingruo's child to actually possess a spiritual body. However, this child's spiritual body seems a bit ordinary. Lu Changxing sensed the vibrations from the spiritual body, frowning slightly. But he didn't think too much of it and quickly joined Lu Miaoyun in the delivery room to visit Li Xingrua and the newborn child. The child was a girl. Her appearance was exquisite, like a porcelain doll. Then Lu Changxing named the child Lu Qingli. After seeing the child, Lu Changxing told Li Xingrua to rest well, and also told Li Xingyu to rest well. Because Li Xingyu was only 2 months behind Li Xingrua in her pregnancy, now also bearing a large belly. System. Lu Changxing went to the Lu family courtyard, thinking silently. The system panel appeared. Name, Lu Changxing. Status, Lord of Bai Lake Mountain. Cultivation level, 8th layer of foundation building. Lifespan, 59 of 288. Spiritual root, 1st grade spiritual root. Constitution, Minor Qing spiritual body, low-grade spirit body. Gingjin body. Constitution, medium-grade spirit body. Blood talisman spiritual body, superior spirit body. Flawless heavenly fragrance body, top-level spiritual body. Dragon roar physique, top-level spiritual body. Cultivation technique, Yin Yang creation scripture, beginner. 100 refinements treasure body art, 8th level. 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture, 2nd level. Immortal beauty technique, Tai Xingxue Ju, 2nd level. Spell, sword shadow dividing light technique, 7 luminary sword chi soul scattering needle. Items, Lu family genealogy myriad spirits bottle, 1,000 faces puppet fox. Evil X banisher elixir, soul fusion resurrection elixir, endless guileful head, book of malevolent curses and fates, life substituting talisman coagulation crystal elixir. Magical treasures, fate-defying robe, 7 luminaries heart lamp oceanic bead. Skills, alchemy 2nd rank, talisman making 3rd rank, puppet 2nd rank, spirit slaughterer 2nd rank, wine brewing 2nd rank, dragon seeking 2nd rank, music mastery 3rd rank. Spiritual pets, Mount Sumeru Tree King 9 Netherhound Peach Blossom Goo, bloodline effect. Offspring spiritual root rate plus 30%. Progeny probability plus 30%. Spiritual body inheritance rate plus 1%. Family members, 605, Minor Qing spiritual body. Lu Changxing noted that he had acquired a new Minor Qing spiritual body among his constitution. He was familiar with this type of spiritual body. naturally close to spiritual energy. For instance, with a 9th grade spiritual root and possessing the minor Qing spiritual body, the cultivation speed could rival that of a 6th grade spiritual root. And during the process of breakthroughs in cultivation, it could purge the impurities within the body. No wonder I don't feel any difference with this spiritual body, Lu Changxing thought to himself quietly. Ever since acquiring the flawless heavenly fragrance body, he had felt his entire body was transparent and all channels clear, the effects being similar to the minor Qing spiritual body. And now, not only did he possess the flawless heavenly fragrance body, but also the dragon roar physique and foundation establishment cultivation. This minor Qing spiritual bodhis effect naturally felt almost non-existent to him. But at the end of the day, it is still a spiritual body. Lu Changxing wasn't so disappointed to disdain the spiritual body. He checked his daughter through the family interface. Name, Lu Qingli, lifespan, 181st, talent, 5th grade spiritual root, minor Qing spiritual body, low grade spirit body, cultivation level, none, talent, music mastery, 23%. With a 5th grade spiritual root and a minor Qing spiritual body, her cultivation speed should be at the level of a high-quality spiritual root. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, feeling that this level of talent was already quite good. As long as she was willing to put in the effort, achieving foundation establishment wouldn't be an issue. The talent, however, left much to be desired. Having a talent in music mastery was one thing, but only 23% was quite pitiful. It must be noted that both he and the child's mother, Li Xingrua, had considerable talent in alchemy. Not only did this child have no talent in alchemy, but her music mastery was also lacking. TSK, one can only say heredity is just too unreliable. Lu Changxing shook his head and didn't pay much attention to this matter. After all, talent is talent and interest is interest. In earlier years he had planned the growth directions for many of his children. But only a part of his children had followed his suggestions and were willing to delve into their talents and potential. Most of his children, other than cultivating, still spent their free time on personal interests and hobbies. Chapter 1004. Minor Qing Spiritual Body, Starlight Plate. Chapter 1004. Chapter 358. Minor Qing Spiritual Body, Starlight Plate. For instance, the top rebellious seed, Lu Wangshu, is known for having a wide range of interests and hobbies. Thinking of this daughter, Lu Changxing suddenly realized it had been some time since he last paid attention to her cultivation progress, and decided to check on her. Lu Changxing arrived at Lu Wangshu's courtyard and saw that his daughter was actually leaning over her desk, earnestly writing something, a look of surprise on his face. When he approached and saw what his daughter was writing, he was stunned. Miss Qin, today while I was practicing my boxing, a strange coconut suddenly hit my head. What kind of strange coconut could it be, the nights when I think of you? Lu Changxing, looking at the contents his daughter had written, was completely dumbfounded, with a look of sheer bewilderment. What the hell is this? Is this something a person could write? He felt goosebumps all over his body. Lu Wangshu, what the hell is this that you're writing? Lu Changxing immediately asked with a frown. Dad, didn't you say to help my brother send a letter to the Heavenly Sword sect? I wrote a letter before, but my sister-in-law didn't respond. I think it's time to stop being so subtle and to be more direct. Moreover, given my brother's emotional intelligence, it's likely he can't say anything too flowery, so it's better to be straightforward. Lu Wangshu's pink lips pursed as she picked up the brush with a listless look. Although she was at the prime age of beauty and youth, she had no understanding of romance and love. Not to mention she had to imitate the tone of her brother's dull personality in writing this letter, which was no small feat. You even know your brother can't say things like that. Lu Changxing tapped on his daughter's head with annoyance. He then pondered for a moment and said, Go and chat with your brother, ask him about his past travels. Just ask him if he encountered anything interesting or fun on his journey. He has adopted a ghost slave named N, right? You could easily write about it in the letter, expressing how pitiful and well-behaved this little N is, and suggest that she could meet him. Also, when you finish writing the letter, you might want to put a few petals or leaves in each one, indicating that these are seen while traveling, expressing certain meanings, longing. When writing a letter, think more carefully and learn more about this Miss Qin's personality and the matters between them from your brother. Lu Changxing spoke with earnest, instructing his daughter. Dad, is this how you deceived Mom back in the day? Lu Wangshu was stunned and said, Lu Changxing? Have some respect, your mother and I were a match of talent and beauty, mutually in love. Lu Changxing tapped his daughter's forehead and said, "You can ask your brother later, he might be unwilling but he'll still tell you if you ask." When it came to understanding his son's personality, he knew him like the back of his hand. "Dad, why don't you go and talk to my brother yourself?" Lu Wangshu pouted. "Just do as I say, why so many questions?" Lu Changxing said so. Although this father was very casual on normal days and didn't carry much authority in front of his children in his opinion, this matter seriously undermined his image of being wise and majestic, so it was still up to his daughter to handle it. "All right, Dad, stop knocking on my head all the time." Lu Wangshu protested. "System, draw a lottery." After urging his daughter, Lu Changxing came to the top of Baiyun Peak. Gazing at the vast Baishui Lake, he took a deep breath and silently thought to himself. A pale red roulette wheel appeared, starting to spin with golden light. After a few breaths, the golden light settled on the magical treasures category. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a magical treasure, Starlight Plate. The prize has been delivered to the system space. The host may check at any time. A compass, glittering with starlight, emerged from the roulette wheel, accompanied by a system notification sound. Magical treasure, Starlight Plate? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow at this reward. Unable to deduce the effect of the magic artifact from its name, he focused his mental spirit, looking towards the system's space. Magic artifact, Starlight Plate. Grade, lower grade magical treasure. Description, forged from 9 heavens star sand and 1,000-year fine iron, it can transform into stars and enter the 9 heavens gang wind for speed enhancement, serving as a top-notch travel magic artifact. It can also harness starlight to shroud oneself for evasion from pursuit, and can use the starlight to illuminate and break through barriers. Is this a flying magic artifact? Lu Changxing examined the introduction of the Starlight Plate, his eyebrows lightly raised, his face showing pleasure. He had been thinking of drawing a travel magic artifact. This would make his future outings much more efficient and convenient. Unexpectedly, he had drawn one so quickly. Although it was just a lower-grade magical treasure, it was more practical given his current cultivation level. Like the fate-defying robe he had received before, which was a superior quality treasure, but in his hands, it only had basic effects, and he couldn't fully exhibit the powers of the robe. Retrieve. Lu Changxing immediately extracted the Starlight Plate from the system to see its specific effects. Buzz. Instantly, a compass the size of a palm brimming with stars, akin to a miniature star chart, appeared in front of Lu Changxing. The compass was brilliant with starlight, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. Just like the system explanation, this Starlight Plate was indeed a travel magic artifact. In addition to flying, it also had defensive, concealing and barrier-breaking abilities. It could consume mana to form a sky full of stars to envelop oneself and be used for defense, concealment and barrier-breaking. However, these three effects could be considered average in power and could not fully be relied upon as a defensive magic artifact. At most, they could be used to resist the 9 heavens gang wind or sudden attacks while traveling. If used at night, this Starlight Plate could also draw upon the stars in the sky, reducing consumption and increasing speed. Not bad. With this Starlight Plate, my current needs for a travel magic artifact are met. Lu Changxing looked at the Starlight Plate in front of him, a faint smile on his face. Then he entered Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and went to his cave mansion to begin refining the magic artifact. With a magic artifact like this lower-grade magical treasure, he could slowly nurture it within his body with mana, enhancing its power and further aligning it with himself. Chapter 1005. Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. Chapter 1005. Chapter 359. Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. Luoyun Mountain Range. The entire mountain range stretched out like an azure dragon coiled up, majestic and continuous, with rising and falling peaks, vast and magnificent. At this moment, within the mountain range, light and shadow flickered, and roars resounded, numerous demon beasts shrieked and howled, trees shuddered and leaves rustled. Boom! A piece of the mountainside collapsed, a hurricane swept across in all directions and sand and dust flew about. Gee! Countless black mist crows surged from the collapsed mountainside into the sky, forming a dark river that blotted out the sun, accompanied by the piercing caws. Black Crow Old Demon, hand over the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, or you won't be able to escape. Sword chi tore through the void, like a celestial river pouring down from the heavens, slashing through the black mist and severing the dark river. A stunningly beautiful woman, about 25 or 26, with a delicate and three-dimensional face and a frosty heroic gaze, appeared, clad in a white tight-fitting garment, brandishing a deep blue magical sword in her hand. Her magical sword glimmered with dazzling brilliance, sword chi pouring down like a silver river from the 9 heavens, like tides, like rain, containing peerless killing intent, sealing heaven and earth. "You little girl, you think you can stop this true immortal?" A sharp and grating, irritatingly layered, old voice emanated from within the black mist crows. In the midst of the cause, countless mist crows swirled together, coalescing into a gigantic black crow several zhang in size. Ga. The sharp beak of the black giant crow shone deadly, its wings outstretched, exuding an ominous aura of death as it fiercely pierced through the void, charging toward Chu Qingyi. Chi. The mist crow broke through the sword chi, filling the void with incessant shrill screeches. Boom boom boom. Following that, the sword light collided with the black giant crow, and a series of dull sounds echoed between heaven and earth. A towering peak collapsed under the onslaught of the two, turning into ruins. The terrifying aftermath of their mana rippled in layers, raging wildly like a dam breach, wrecking everything in its path with relentless destruction. Large feathers fluttered down, and numerous fist-sized black crows tumbled from midair, transforming into mist and dissipating. But the remaining mist crows swept through like a tornado, engulfing the surrounding area. Where the black mist crows swept through, countless trees withered, birds and beasts' flesh shriveled, leaving only skeletons resembling a land of silent death. Sword Light Universe. Chu Qingyi's expression was cold and aloof. Black Crow True Immortal watched the scene, a twitch in the corner of his eye, a bad feeling welling up within him. He hadn't expected the nascent soul immortals from Qingyun's sect to arrive so swiftly. Moreover, it was a late-stage core formation great cultivator, a supreme elder from Qingyun's sect. He did not dare to hesitate, knowing that if he didn't pay a price, he might not be able to escape. Mist Crow Dismemberment Technique. Black Crow True Immortal let out a heaven-shaking howl, his body bursting with dark light like an erupting ghostly sun, the scattered crows cawing loudly, dispersing into countless black lights shooting in all directions. Trying to escape. Chu Qingyi and the gray-robed elder acted simultaneously, their massive mana sealed heaven and earth, their sword light and the giant wood striking the sky dome and earth, annihilating the countless mist crows. Gee! The constant cawing filled the air, countless mists roiling like boiling water evaporating, gathering and dispersing. Damn, it seems I have to bleed heavily today or I'll have to settle here. But obtaining the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus is worth it. Black Crow True Immortal's eyes flickered with ruthless determination, pulling out a purple-red pill from his chest and tossing it towards the gray-robed elder. Boom! A thunderous roar resounded through heaven and earth, solidifying into a mushroom-shaped mass of purple lightning, causing the temperature in the area to soar suddenly, searing and violent, blasting open fissures that sealed the heavens and earth. Chapter 1006. Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. Chapter 1006. Chapter 359. Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. He then crushed the 2 jade talismans in his hand. Shwa shwa shwa. Countless black fogs turned into crows, shooting off in all directions, with one talisman enveloping a black crow as it tore through the void. Lightning Bead, Shadow Transformation Talisman, Teleportation Talisman. The gray-robed elder looked at the dispersing black crow True Immortal, his expression growing ugly. He turned to Chu Qingyi and asked, "Qingyi, what's the situation with the Tianyuan secret realm?" "Supreme Elder, this black crow old demon infiltrated the secret realm at some point and took the opportunity to pluck the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus." Chu Qingyi gently pursed her red lips as she spoke. "What, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus was taken?" Hearing this, the gray-robed elder's face became extremely unsightly. According to their exploration, the secret realm in the Luoyun mountain range was a site from 8,000 years ago, left behind by the legendary great cultivator, the Tianyuan True Monarch. Besides many heavenly and earthly treasures within, there was a rare spirit plant known as the Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. This lotus effect was similar to the spiritual origin pearl, capable of providing a continuous supply of rich spiritual energy, making it very suitable for planting within a cave mansion. And when the heavenly origin precious lotus grew to a certain extent, it could possibly advance to become the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus not only far exceeded the heavenly origin precious lotus in effect, akin to a spiritual spring, but it could also be used to refine treasures of the void, serving as a second Dan Tian. Back in the day, the Tianyuan true monarch's name was known far and wide, dominating the southern wilderness cultivation realm, precisely because he used a fourth-ranked Tianyuan lotus as his second Dan Tian, granting him mana far superior to other nascent soul true lords. Although this Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus was only third rank and far from comparable to the Tianyuan true monarch's Tianyuan Lotus, it was still an incredible treasure for nascent soul immortals. Yet now, such a treasure was taken by someone. You hurry back and guard the secret realm, ensure that there's no further accident. This demon is already seriously injured and absolutely cannot escape from Jiang country so quickly. I'm going to ask Buswanzi to divine the whereabouts of this black crow old demon, the gray-robed elder said with a heavy voice. He did not blame Chu Qingyi for failing to defend. After all, no one would want such an incident to occur. Their main task now was to retrieve the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus as soon as possible. White Tiger Mountain. Big brother Qingsong, am going back. Lu Wangshu spoke out and opened the spiritual pet bag, revealing a green jade luan bird, full of immortal aura before her eyes. Then, with a light tap of her toes, she gracefully landed on the luan bird, her figure charming and captivating as she waved goodbye to her two brothers. Wangshu, be careful on your way. You can come over to play anytime. Lu Pingon and Lu Qingsong said to their sister. I know. Lu Wangshu replied cheerfully, patted the green jade luan bird, and urged it to flap its wings, taking off into the air, heading in the direction of Bai Lake Mountain. This green jade luan bird had only recently advanced to the first stage middle phase, so its flight speed was not very fast. However, the mounts for flying at Bai Lake Mountain were all purchased from 100 Birds Lake, primarily chosen for speed and feeding costs, with generally average appearances. That is why Lu Wangshu did not fancy the iron feather eagles from her home and instead used the green jade luan bird for travel. La la la. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pale pink gown with bright, expressive eyes, sat cross-legged on the luan bird and pulled out a jade slip somewhat listlessly. Her trip to White Tiger Mountain had been not only to get some fresh air but mainly to chat with her big brother about his early travels and Miss Qin's affairs. Just as her father had said, she had only to ask her big brother, who might be reluctant in his heart, but as long as she acted spoiled and showed curiosity, he would still tell her the truth. Lu Wangshu thought for a bit and began to record content on the jade slip with her spiritual sense. Miss Qin, as I write this letter, I just happened to be passing Guangling County, and I couldn't help but remember the time when we first met. Last year at this door, a human face and peach blossoms reflected each other in red. Not knowing where the human face is now, the peach blossoms still smile in the spring breeze. Strike that, Big Brother doesn't have that culture. I revisited the old place and heard from the villagers that another giant python demon has appeared in these mountains. I went into the mountains to investigate and killed the python. It turns out this mountain held a treasure, which likely turned the former white tiger demon and this python into demons by consuming it. I sold this mountain treasure to the loose cultivator base at Xianxia Mountain and obtained 78 spirit stones. Oh, and on this trip home there's a new sister in the family. Her name is Wangshu. Strike that, Mingyue. True to her name, she is like the bright moon in the sky, not only incredibly beautiful but also clever and intelligent. Lively and lovely, innocent and joyful, understanding. I'll introduce you to her, you'll definitely like her. If you have any troubles or matters and would like to get to know her, you can write back to me and she will surely be able to solve your problems. Lu Wangshu recorded the content of her intended letter on the jade slip. Shriek. Just then, the green jade luan bird she was sitting on suddenly let out a sharp cry and became unstable. Ah, what's wrong, little Qin? Lu Wangshu suddenly came out of her reverie, summoning several talismans in her hand and asking the green jade luan bird. However, before she could finish speaking, she felt something was wrong and saw that a pale, gaunt old man in a black robe had appeared before her at some point. The old man was watching her as if she were prey. Indeed, the blood talisman spiritual body? It seems my luck is really looking up on this trip to Jianghu country, not only getting the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus but also encountering a blood talisman spiritual body. Pity, under the current circumstances I cannot take this blood talisman spiritual body back for cultivation. However, the origin source of this blood talisman spiritual body can be used to nurture the talisman, which will increase my chances of escaping Jianghu country. Chapter 1007. Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. Chapter 1007. Chapter 359. Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. The elder in the black robe had black pupils and was staring intently at Lu Wangshu, his eyes filled with greedy fervor. Blood Talisman Spiritual Body, a high-grade spirit body of the Talisman Path. Possessing such a spiritual body not only granted innate talent on the Talisman Path but also allowed the consumption of essence blood to enhance the chances of talisman making and to burn essence blood and lifespan to use the blood to nourish and upgrade the grade of talismans. If willing to kill the goose that laid the golden eggs, one could directly use its spirit body origin to nurture talismans. Even a blood talisman spiritual body of the Qi refinement realm was enough to have a certain effect on third-rank talismans. He was currently in the midst of an escape, and if he could use the blood talisman spiritual body before him to nurture several third-rank spirit talismans, he would have a better chance of escaping the chase. Run. Lu Wangshu sensed something was off, danger from the man's gaze. Moreover, the fact that the other party could fly indicated he was at least a Foundation establishment cultivator, and she was no match for him. She immediately took out a stack of talismans and activated them, throwing them towards the black-robed elder in front of her, then activated a second-rank teleportation talisman in an attempt to flee. The girl has got some tricks, but dreaming of escaping is just that, a dream. The Black Crow True Immortal sneered with his pale and gaunt face, reaching out with a large hand as rolling black fog swiftly immobilized Lu Wangshu, making her unable to move. It's over, Dad, save me." Lu Wangshu realized she had encountered a terrible villain. This elder was likely more than just a simple Foundation establishment cultivator. She immediately activated the substitute talisman in her sea of consciousness and also activated the mother and child talisman, calling for help from her father. Due to the past incident with Lu Rui, Lu Changxing had instructed them to use talismans at the first sign of danger to their lives, without any hesitation. Buzz. The substitute talisman burst into flames, wrapping Lu Wangshu in a mysterious force and forming a substitute puppet, which broke free from the Black Crow True Immortal's restraint and teleported to escape. But in that instant, the Black Crow True Immortal sensed something was amiss. The core formation within him surged, and a giant black fog crow appeared in the sky, directly intercepting and swallowing Lu Wangshu as she tried to teleport away. Is this a third-rank talisman? How does a little Qi refinement girl possess such a rare talisman? Could this girl be the direct descendant of a nascent soul immortal from Qingyun sect? The Black Crow True Immortal, looking at Lu Wangshu inside the Black Fog Crow, felt a surge of doubt and suspicion. His current location was near Qingyun sect, so he speculated that Lu Wangshu might be from the sect. However, he did not pay much attention to whether Lu Wangshu was a disciple or offspring of a nascent soul immortal from Qingyun sect. He was currently facing pursuit from Qingyun sect and did not mind adding this little girl to his troubles. Swoosh. The Black Crow True Immortal flew away quickly with Lu Wangshu, intending to find a quiet place to use the girl's spirit body origin for nurturing talismans. By Lake Mountain. Changxing Hall. Lu Changxing toyed with the starlight plate in his hands, his mental spirit stirred. Immediately, the starlight plate transformed into a beam of light, entering his body, traveling along his meridians to his Qi ocean core, where it calmly revolved around the profound origin bead. It seems that it's necessary to break through core formation and use the Qi of the pill to nourish and enhance the power of magical treasures continuously. Lu Changxing saw his mana wash over the artifact without any nurturing effect. He knew that during the Foundation establishment stage, one could only nurture a life-bound spiritual artifact. Only by breaking through core formation could the Qi of the pill nourish and increase the power of magical treasures. This was also why, as nascent soul immortals grew older, their physical condition might decline, but their magical treasures were generally very powerful. Right then, Lu Changxing's heart skipped a beat, a mysterious connection tingled within him. He knew it meant his life substitute talisman had been used. This sensation had appeared twice over the years since the initial events with Li Feiyu and Lu Rui. But when his children were traveling far away, he could not pinpoint their exact location in the face of such danger, relying on the family tree to know whether they were alive or not. However, this substitute talisman he now felt was not very far from his domain at By Lake Mountain. At the same time, Lu Changxing felt something in his heart, and a yin-yang sensing talisman appeared in his hand. Wang Shu is in danger. Seeing the sensing talisman, Lu Changxing's face turned dark and grim. This sensing talisman was a third-rank talisman, and even he didn't have many of them. Only to Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Xiaoxia, Lu Pinggan, Lu Wangshu, Lu Yun, and Lu Yuanding had he given a few. If they encountered an urgent situation, they could transmit a message through this sensing talisman, and as long as he was not outside the Qingyun region boundary, he could generally receive the signal. From the just-used substitute talisman and this sensing talisman from his daughter, Lu Changxing immediately knew that his daughter Lu Wangshu was in danger. And it was not a common danger. Lu Wangshu not only had a substitute talisman but also a second-rank puppet, a second-rank defense talisman, and escape talismans he had given her. She would not be in danger against an average Foundation establishment cultivator. Without another thought, Lu Changxing immediately exited the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. Changxing, what's wrong? Lu Miaoge noticed Lu Changxing's anxious expression and asked. Wang Shu is in danger, I need to go out. Lu Changxing replied. As he spoke, he took out a blood-tracking talisman, applying his and Xiaoxia's blood to it. After the incident with Lu Rui, he kept a few blood-tracking talismans in his storage ring, and all his daughters who traveled had a sample of their mother's blood with them in case of need. Buzz. The blood-tracking talisman immediately pointed in a direction. Whoosh. Lu Changxing became a beam of escape light and shot out, leaving by Lake Mountain. Just past by Lake Mountain, the starlight plate appeared beneath his feet, enveloping him as if he were a meteor, slashing across the sky, vanishing from sight. Chapter 1008, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. _4 Chapter 1008, Chapter 359, Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suppressing Core Formation. _4. In a mountain cave. Dad said that life-saving talismans could help escape from any cultivator below a nascent soul immortal, but my talisman was activated and I still didn't escape. Could this old man be a nascent soul immortal? It's over, it's all over. If Dad receives my sensing talisman and comes over, what if he can't beat him? This time I've really screwed Dad over. Lu Wangshu's heart was in turmoil as she wondered what to do. She looked at Black Crow True Immortal with a forced smile on her face and said sweetly, Grandpa, I don't know why you've captured me, but if there's something you need, just tell me. The complexion of Black Crow True Immortal was dark and pale. He ignored Lu Wangshu and after setting up the cave's formation, began to prepare the blood sacrifice ritual. Grandpa, if it's wealth you're seeking, my dad is very rich. You must have seen the talisman I just used. My dad gave it to me. We have even more advanced talismans at home. If you need anything, I can ask my dad to bring it. Lu Wangshu continued to speak, hoping to send a message to keep her father from coming. This wretch was a nascent soul immortal. Should he come, she would indeed be betraying her father. Ha! Black Crow True Immortal let out a disdainful snort. He had already identified Lu Wangshu as a direct disciple, a daughter of someone from the nascent soul level of Qingyun sect. If it weren't for the matter of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, he wouldn't mind abducting this young girl and attempting extortion against her family. After all, it was quite unexpected for a mere energy-refining cultivator to possess second-rank and third-rank talismans. If he had paid a visit, he might have gained quite a lot from them. But having just stolen the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus from the Qingyun sect, he was in a weakened state. Even if this young girl was of a blood talisman spiritual body and a daughter of a nascent soul, the Qingyun sect would not let him leave the Jianghu country cultivation realm unscathed just to save this little girl. It's over, he's not coming for me, is he? Lu Wangshu watched as Black Crow True Immortal remained unfazed, and she grew more anxious. She never thought she'd be so unlucky to encounter such an event on a rare excursion outside. When her parents told her about the dangers of the cultivation world, she thought they were exaggerating. With so many talismans on her, she believed there would be no danger. Grandpa, I'm serious, my dad really dotes on me. He can afford any price. Not just advanced talismans but also advanced elixir medicines, magical treasures. My dad has all of these. Lu Wangshu kept speaking, hoping to persuade Black Crow True Immortal in front of her. Buzz. As a nascent soul immortal, how could Black Crow True Immortal not see through Lu Wangshu's little scheme? Her attempts to sweet-talk were clearly to call for help, and he was not about to be fooled. With a mere raise of his hand, his mana flowed, silencing Lu Wangshu, and she found herself immobilized. Then, under Lu Wangxia's gaze, Black Crow True Immortal set up an altar and placed 3 spirit talismans in front of it. Rise. Black Crow True Immortal, his face gaunt and shadowy, made a gesture incantation toward Lu Wangxiu. Suddenly, little flags around the altar fluttered noisily as rolling black mist, like crows and serpents, surged towards Lu Wangxiu, intent on entering her body and activating the origin of her blood talisman spiritual body. Faced with this rolling black mist, Lu Wangxiu felt a sense of despair. Knowing full well that with her strength, she had no chance of fighting back against the elder before her. She also hoped that by dying sooner, perhaps her dad wouldn't come, right? Whoosh whoosh whoosh, dark fog rolled in, engulfing Lu Wangxia's entire body, quickening the flow of blood in her veins, while her vision progressively blurred. Am I going to die like this? I'm not ready, father. Lu Wangxiu felt an intense heat throughout her body, her consciousness growing fuzzier, a blood-colored spiritual pattern within her chi ocean core faintly visible. She had no idea how much time had passed, but just as her sight was about to be completely enveloped in darkness and her consciousness on the verge of collapse, a thunderous noise suddenly erupted between heaven and earth. A divinely dazzling light appeared, tearing through the darkness before her. What followed was an endless blaze, as if sweeping over from the void, forming a fiery purple-red flood dragon that roared ferociously, its might both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The black fog within the cavern vaporized under the dragon flame. Old fool, dare to lay a hand on my daughter? Are you tired of living? A man emerged from within the sea of fire, his visage handsome, build tall and slender, as he looked at Black Crow True Immortal with a cold voice. He wore a mystic robe of luxurious quality, with a splendid divine light flowing and entwining across his chest, covering his figure with a 9-colored halo, rendering his lofty stature even more sacred and grand. Resting upon his right shoulder was a head, black and rigid, with pitch-black ink-like eyes devoid of whites, hair unkempt and fearsome to behold. This head stared directly at Black Crow True Immortal, its 2 eyes like whirlpooling black holes, enticing the mental spirit, intimidating the soul, its hair writhing wildly, emanating an eerily dark and dreadful aura. A layer of pitch-dark light, accompanied by wisps of black fog, madly spread from the center, turning the surrounding world into a howling netherwind, akin to netherworld hell. As the ghost domain emerged, a gigantic figure appeared, muscular and with imposing bull horns, resembling a small mountain, exuding an indescribable pressure. At this moment, within Black Crow True Immortal's field of vision, was a woman with a pale and eerily beautiful demeanor, wearing a black luxurious dress, her feet as white as lotus, each ankle adorned with a golden ring. Holy Daughter. Black Crow True Immortal subconsciously forced a smile as he bowed respectfully. Not good. This is an illusion. But in an instant he felt something was amiss. As cawing filled his ears, he quickly bit the tip of his tongue and circulated his cultivation technique in divine sense. Boom. The illusion before his eyes shattered abruptly. But no sooner had he wrestled free from the illusion, he saw, in reality, 2 abyssal eyes staring him down, making his body stiffen. His legs felt as though submerged in a quagmire. A massive figure with the head of a bull and the body of a human, as well as a young man with a handsome face and a sacred majestic stature, came at him, their fists like wild dragons leaving their lair, stirring up boundless corpse chi and a purple-red flood dragon. Ah! Black Crow True Immortal screamed as his body instantly exploded under the force of the 2 fists, torn to pieces. However, the body that had just burst apart instantly turned into rolling blood mist and black fog, combining with the true elixir to form a black crow, attempting to flee. But at that moment, the fearsome endless guileful head suddenly split its mouth wide in a fierce grin, and with a single gulp, a keen wind blew through, swallowing the black crow whole. Humph, Kurt, dying like this is too easy for you. Lu Zhang stood in his mystic robe, his stature upright, his demeanor icy. Master. At this time, a silver-haired, alluring woman holding the unconscious Lu Wangxiu approached Lu Zhang's side. Lu Zhang took Black Crow True Immortal's storage ring, the Thunder Gang dragon flame incinerating every remnant breath around them, then gently and tenderly scooped up his daughter, gathered up the endless guileful head and the 1,000 faces puppet fox, and pulled out a teleportation talisman, instantly activating it. Once they reappeared dozens of miles away, Lu Zhang stood upon a starlight plate, transforming into a trail of starlight, soaring upwards into the sky, and swiftly departed into the 9 heavens gang wind. The 1,000 faces puppet fox had sensed something off about this nascent soul immortal just moments ago. Not only was he a demonic path cultivator, but also severely wounded and weak, likely facing pursuit from other core formation cultivators, hence his resorting to using his daughter's talismans. Regardless, this devil path true person was certainly problematic, involved in something, and Lu Zhang knew he must not get entangled in this matter. Chapter 1009. The Nine Heavenly Winds, Divination and Calculation. Chapter 1009. Chapter 360. The Nine Heavenly Winds, Divination and Calculation. Lu Changxing cradled his daughter Lu Wangshu, stepping on the starlight plate with streams of dazzling starlight flowing around them, shooting towards the high sky like a meteor entering the ninth heavenly gang wind layer. Hoo hoo hoo, dash, the heavenly winds howled from all sides like the wails of ghosts or the cries of wolves, pummeling him like torrential rain on banana leaves. Looking around, one could even see tornado-like wind pillars, as if they were sentient, floating in the clouds, seemingly about to devour and crush everything. This was gang wind. The higher he flew, the fiercer the gang wind became, resembling the force of wind-based technique and magical powers. No wonder only nascent soul immortals are capable of roaming amidst the nine heavens gang wind. Lu Changxing gazed at the violent currents and muttered with emotion. The ninth heavenly gang wind layer was the flying domain of high-rank cultivators. Ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators without magical treasures for protection would likely be torn limb from limb upon entering the gang wind layer, leaving no bone or trace behind. Even as a quasi-third order body refiner, Lu Changxing wouldn't be comfortable in this gang wind layer without the protection of the starlight plate, making it difficult to move about freely. It's said that nascent soul immortals like to travel through the ninth heavenly gang wind layer, not just for convenience but also because the higher one goes, the greater the chance of finding heavenly spiritual objects or treasures emerging from the void. Lu Changxing looked up towards the higher layers. Previously, Hong Lian had told him about the many sun and moon essences and condensed heaven and earth spiritual materials formed from starlight and meteorites in the ninth heavenly gang wind layer. Moreover, some cultivators like to place their magical treasures into the gang wind for refinement by the wind's power. If mishaps befell the owners during this process, whether they were killed, succumbed to demonic possession, or had other accidents, these magical treasures would become unclaimed and drift within the gang wind layer. Hence, nascent soul immortals were fond of wandering the nine heavens gang wind when idle. But though it was said that way, those fortunate enough to come upon such opportunities were still few and far between. Lu Changxing didn't believe he was so lucky as to find a treasure on his first voyage into the ninth heavenly gang wind layer. Besides, Lu Changxing had heard from Hong Lian that besides the omnipresent gang wind, there were occasional dangers like thunderstorms, fluxes, mists and absolute spirit, and other hazardous situations in the gang wind. One misstep could lead to disaster. Consequently, Foundation establishment cultivators and false core cultivators would rarely venture into the gang wind layer even if they could enter with the aid of treasures. Meeting such peril could mean utter destruction. Lu Changxing looked tenderly at his daughter in his arms, channeling the yin-yang creation scripture and using yin-yang magic power to nourish her physical body, meridians and dantian. He had checked earlier. His daughter was not in serious trouble. She was merely stimulated by some technique an old man had used on her spiritual body origin, causing her body to be under severe strain and in need of good care. Looking at his daughter's somewhat pale cheeks, Lu Changxing took out a third-rank rejuvenation insignia and used it on her. After a long time, Lu Wangshu's eyelashes trembled slightly, feeling warm and embraced, with a warm current flowing through her limbs, meridians and dantian very comfortable. She slowly opened her eyes, saw her father's face in front of her and murmured dreamily, "Daddy, am I dreaming?" "Wangshu, you're awake," Lu Changxing said softly. "Daddy, you got caught too?" Hearing this, Lu Wangshu immediately realized she wasn't dreaming, thinking her old father had come to rescue her but ended up captured, and said with some guilt, "Lu Changxing? I was thinking of sending you a message telling you not to come over but that old man," Lu Wangshu continued to speak looking like she was about to cry. But the next moment, a few bits of clarity returned to her, and she noticed something was off. She had been full of black mist, in great pain and unable to speak at the time. Now not only could she speak, but she also felt warm all over, as if she was soaking in a hot spring. "It's all right now, that old man has been taken care of by your father," Lu Changxing said with a smile as he pinched his daughter's smooth cheek. "Ah, taken care of. Lu Wangshu relaxed after hearing this, the tension in her mental spirit easing at once. Then with a mix of grievance and fear she said, "Wu daddy, it scared me to death, I thought I was going to die. And that mean old man was really powerful. Even the life-saving talismans you gave me didn't help me escape, and I was worried that if you came, you wouldn't be able to beat him. It's okay now, it's all okay." Lu Changxing comforted her warmly. He knew the previous situation must have been very frightening for his daughter. After all, this was a daughter he had doted on since childhood, never having to suffer any misfortune or loss, never experiencing such circumstances. Lu Wangshu gradually settled down with his reassurance. Looking at her father before her, she remembered the last scene before she passed out, her excitement bubbling as she said, "Daddy, I felt like I was going to faint and heard a loud noise followed by light and a lot of fire appeared. Was that you?" It was just like the stories where a fairy encountered danger, and then a great hero descended from the sky to save her. Darn, she had fainted just then and missed seeing her father's heroic entrance. Besides, her father had even bothered to change his clothes before coming. "Yes," Lu Changxing said as he ruffled his daughter's hair. He had realized something was amiss at the time, and seeing a formation concealed the area, he sent in the Thousand Faces puppet fox. Then he used the unsealing divine light to break through the formation's prohibitions and shattered the cave mansion with the Thunder Gang dragon flame. "Like father, like daughter, you're truly amazing." Lu Wangshu's face lit up with a smile, looking to get out of Lu Changxing's embrace. After all, she was already so grown. Being held by her father as when she was a child was somewhat embarrassing. At that moment, Lu Wangshu noticed the surrounding flow of starlight. Chapter 10:10. 9 Heavens Gang Wind Divination Calculation. Chapter 10:10. Chapter 360. 9 Heavens Gang Wind Divination Calculation. Through the starlight, an endless expanse unfolded, with surging astral winds sweeping across as if to tear everything apart. Lu Wangshu suddenly looked towards Lu Changxing, feeling bewildered, and asked, "Daddy, where are we?" "This is the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer." Lu Changxing set his daughter down and stood on the starlight plate, saying so. 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer? Lu Wangshu blinked in astonishment, then with her little mouth agape she exclaimed in surprise, "Could this be the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer that only nascent soul immortals can enter, as mentioned in the books?" "Daddy, so you are a nascent soul immortal." Lu Wangshu looked at Lu Changxing, her face filled with surprise and delight, her sparkling eyes full of dependence and admiration. It was then she belatedly realized, recalling the old man who had captured her, that he could very well be a nascent soul immortal. And if her own daddy had managed to rescue her safely, he must certainly be a nascent soul immortal too. She wasn't too shocked by this revelation, but merely smiled with curved eyes, looking content as she said, "You truly are my daddy. By the way, Daddy, does that old man have a grudge against you? Did he kidnap me to threaten you?" Lu Wangshin continued to ask. She had never met that old man. Moreover, the man had attacked her without saying a word, which left her baffled, causing her to think he might bear a grudge against her daddy. Stop there, I'm not a nascent soul immortal. I've come to the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer merely by the aid of magical treasures," Lu Changxing said, stopping his daughter from continuing that train of thought. "As for that old man, I don't know him either. It must have been a chance encounter, and he took an interest in your blood talisman spiritual body." He ensured she wouldn't ponder further. "I see." Lu Wangshu felt a bit let down upon hearing this. She had thought herself to be the second generation of an immortal. After all, walking around with a daddy who was a nascent soul immortal would give her much face. Nevertheless, she didn't care too much, and standing on the starlight plate she looked around and said, "So this is what the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer looks like. You'd better be careful. Even a slight brush from the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind could end you." Lu Changxing glanced at his daughter, seeing her curious baby look, and warned her. "Daddy, don't scare me. Your precious daughter has just been kidnapped, and her tender heart suffered trauma, in need of comfort." Lu Wangshu pouted and asked, clinging tightly to her daddy's arm, "Daddy, where are we going?" In her eyes, the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer was a vast expanse of nothingness, with the situation unclear. "That old man is a demonic path cultivator and was in a gravely injured state. I suspect he was being pursued and murdered, so to avoid trouble and getting noticed, he came to the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer," Lu Changxing explained. His eyes were profound, shining like stars. He looked through the mists of the astral winds, overlooking the mountains and lands below. However, at such a height, even he could only discern an approximate outline and was unable to pinpoint a precise location. Oh, I see. Lu Wangshu obediently clung to her father's arm, realizing the trouble she had caused him. Then Lu Changxing took out Black Crow True Immortal storage ring and started to sort through and inspect it. The 9th Heavenly Gang Wind Layer, apart from being a convenient place for travel and picking up treasures, was also an excellent place to dispose of ill-gotten gains. Thus, in the Gang Wind Layer, the treasures occasionally found may be objects discarded by others. Several hours later, several rays of rainbow light descended from the high heavens and arrived in front of a charred and broken cavern. Bu Swansea, are you certain that Black Crow Old Demon is here? A crane-haired, child-faced old man clad in a simple gray robe looked at the scene before him and spoke with a grave expression. There are traces of a battle here, and when I previously used divination to investigate Black Crow Old Demon's situation, I foretold that this man faced a great omen of danger, which seems to indicate that his luck is more on the side of disaster than fortune, said an adjacent old man with a withered face and white hair and beard, dressed in a black Taoist robe, his voice hoarse and aged. A fortune revealing great danger signified a 9 in 10 chance of life-threatening peril. Disaster is more likely than fortune. The gray-robed old man's expression turned somewhat unsightly upon hearing this. He had paid a significant price to engage Bu Swansea to ascertain Black Crow True Immortal's circumstances. But now, with Black Crow Old Demon dead, that indicated yet another twist in events. The more uncertainties that arose, the harder it would become for him to reclaim the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. The gray-robed old man materialized a white treasure bead in his hand and infused it with mana. The bead spun rapidly in the air, absorbing all the spiritual mechanism essences in the vicinity, searching for clues. This is fire and corpse energy? After a moment, the gray-robed old man inspected the 2 strands of essence within the white bead and furrowed his brow. He pondered which renowned nascent soul immortal specialized in fire and corpse refinement techniques. The Heavenly Corpse sect possesses a divine skill known as Heavenly Een Corpse Fire, but rumor has it that only the sect master of the Heavenly Corpse sect has mastered it. Moreover, this trace of fiery essence is domineering and doesn't resemble a Een fire. The gray-robed old man looked at the spiritual mechanism essences within the bead, his mind racing, unable to match them with anyone. After all, who cultivates both a yang-driven domineering flame as well as the corpse path? He turned towards Bu Swansea and politely said, Bu Swansea, I would like to request your help to cast a divination and deduce the person who killed Black Crow Old Demon. Rest assured I or Qingyun sect will owe you a favor for this, stated the gray-robed old man earnestly. Divination could deduce the heavenly secrets, subtly predict personal fortunes and misfortunes, and the circumstances of others. But not only did this practice require immense talent and ability, but the cultivation process also came at a significant cost. It not only drained one's mental energy but could also reduce one's lifespan and fortune. Therefore, even though he was a supreme elder of Qingyun sect, to engage Bu Swansea's services, he had to promise heavy rewards and favor. Venerable Gu Yun, although Black Crow Old Demon was heavily injured by your pursuit, his strength is not to be underestimated. This person who managed to find Black Crow Old Demon before us and kill him, clearly possesses no ordinary strength. Chapter 10:11. 9 Heavenly Winds Divination Calculation. Chapter 10:11. Chapter 360. 9 Heavenly Winds Divination Calculation. Bu Swansea's voice was hoarse as he spoke. He had performed divinations for many people and knew that divination did not always yield results. Even if there were results, they might be rather vague, offering only a general direction. If the other party still wanted him to make a move, he was willing to comply. However, he had to state in advance that even if he did not derive any useful information, it was not his responsibility, and the other party would still owe him a favor. Please make a move, my friend. Regardless of success or failure, the Qingyun sect will be grateful. The gray-robed elder understood and responded with a cupped fist salute. The value of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus alone was worth a favor. Moreover, the sudden appearance of Black Crow Old Demon in the Tianyuan secret realm was one thing. Now, another mysterious person had intercepted and killed Black Crow Old Demon, making him suspect that the matter was not simple. He suspected that an invisible powerful force was scheming against his Qingyun sect, particularly regarding the Tianyuan secret realm. Thus, he needed to clarify this matter. All right. Wuxia nodded upon hearing this. He took out a turtle shell and channeled the essence of spiritual energy from a white treasure bead into the shell. Then, with one hand performing a gesture incantation and the other tossing several copper coins, he began the divination. After a long while, Wuxia furrowed his brows, feeling an invisible resistance during the process of divination. There were three possible explanations. First, the target might be adept in divinatory skills, confusing the heavenly secrets, or someone might be concealing the heavenly secrets on their behalf. Second, the target's fate could be extraordinary, and divining it might require a certain price. Third, the target could possess some kind of treasure that blocked divinatory efforts. With his hands still in a gesture incantation, he took out a bamboo tube from his storage bag, shook several bamboo slips to try deriving a vague direction. Yet at this moment not only did he fail to obtain any information, but a foreboding omen also rose in his heart. He knew that continuing the divination would not only reduce his lifespan and fortune but could also entangle him in problematic karma. As a diviner, the first rule was to remain uninvolved and not invite any karmic trouble. He immediately ceased his efforts, his face pale and his breath weak as he said hoarsely to the gray-robed elder, "Ancient cloud, am powerless in this matter." The gray-robed elder's face turned visibly unpleasant upon hearing this. He had not expected that the divination would yield no results at all. Chapter 10-12. 9 Heavens Gang Wind, Divination Calculation. _4 Chapter 10-12. Chapter 360. 9 Heavens Gang Wind, Divination Calculation. _4 Had it not been for the profound origin bead by his side, his mana would have almost run out by now. And for Lu Wangshu the 9th Heavenly Gang Wind layer was vast and monotonous, extremely dull and boring. Moments later, Lu Changxing and his daughter arrived above a mountain range, where he took out a map to check their current location. Just then he heard some commotion a few miles away, where a ferocious demon tiger was pursuing 2 energy-refining cultivators. Swish! Seeing this, Lu Changxing flicked his fingers as if they were a sword, and a sword chi spell tore through the air, shooting out and piercing through the demon tiger's head with a bloody hole, cause its agonized collapse to the ground. "Thank you, Senior. Thank you for the rescue, Senior." The 2 energy-refining cultivators were startled, then saw Lu Changxing and Lu Wangshu in midair, and immediately knelt down and shouted, "Daddy, now you're just like the Immortals in the storyteller's books who slay demons, dispel evils and save the world." Lu Wangshu flattered her own father. "Ha!" Lu Changxing chuckled softly. He might not consider himself a good person, but when encountering such matters, he was willing to help. "Daddy, was that a sword technique you just used? And what about that light and the flame you used when you saved me?" Lu Wangshu asked. Only today did she realize that she knew nothing about her father's strength or methods. "Why, you want to learn?" Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow and replied when he saw his daughter's curious look. He knew his daughter's curiosity. "People just want to see Daddy. When you made your entrance, you were surely handsome and imposing, dashing and extraordinary, but I missed it all and only saw a dazzling light and purple-red flame." Lu Wangshu said playfully with an innocent and pleasing face. "Well, I'll show you." Lu Changxing chuckled softly, lifting his palms slightly, and a purple-red flame with spark-like arcs appeared in his hand. Inside it, a flood dragon, resembling both a snake and a dragon, flickered in and out of view, exuding a fierce and overpowering aura. "Daddy, what spell is this? I want to learn." Lu Wangshu said immediately upon seeing the flame before her. "This can only be learned by those with exceptional talent. You can't learn it." Lu Changxing had anticipated his daughter's reaction and spoke directly. "But Daddy, as your precious daughter, I must have exceptional talent, right? Look, I always come first in whatever I learn, so please teach me." Lu Wangshu coquettishly wrapped her arms around her father's, pleading. "This spell requires foundation establishment before you can learn it. Cultivate well, and once you've established your foundation, I'll teach you," Lu Changxing said with a smile. "Dad, you're not lying to me, are you?" Lu Wangshu looked up at her father with a doubtful expression. "Why would I lie to you? If one doesn't have exceptional talent, they might not be able to master this spell even after foundation establishment, plus it requires many conditions. But as long as you cultivate diligently, your father has prepared everything for you," Lu Changxing declared confidently. Then, with a wave of his hand, the flame in his palm, like a roaring flood dragon, shot toward a distant mountain peak, causing an explosive rumble and spreading fire. See this spell's power, is it ordinary? Lu Changxing stood tall, speaking to his daughter. Daddy, how could I doubt you? I will definitely cultivate diligently and master this spell. Lu Wangshu nodded repeatedly after witnessing the spectacle. Having narrowly escaped death, she was resolved to return home and cultivate earnestly. Now, seeing the Thunder Gang dragon flame only strengthened her resolve. Daddy, and that light? Lu Wangshu continued to inquire. That belongs to a treasure, not a spell. It's been used up, gone. Lu Changxing replied directly. He could procure another heavenly spiritual fire for his daughter. But he couldn't very well dig out the 9 treasures Rui Bone for her, could he? Sai, when I saw you in danger, I was in such a panic that I threw all the treasures at the problem without a second thought. Lu Changxing glanced at his daughter's somewhat skeptical look and sighed. Daddy, I'm sorry. Lu Wangshu's lip pursed and she looked down upon hearing the words. It's okay, as long as you're safe, it's all worth it. Talisman path is the invincible path, there's no need to learn other techniques. Just cultivate well, make a breakthrough in foundation establishment, and condense your life-bound divine talisman. No one in the foundation establishment stage will be your match. Lu Changxing rumpled his daughter's hair as he spoke. Once his daughter made a breakthrough in foundation establishment and condensed her life-bound divine talisman, with a few hundred talismans and mastery of void drawing of talismans and talisman refinement formation techniques, no average foundation establishment cultivator would be a match for her. Lu Wangshu nodded in agreement, determined to return home and cultivate well to break through to foundation establishment as soon as possible. Chapter 1013. Yin-Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. Chapter 1013. Chapter 361. Yin-Yang Primordial Elixir Method, Lu Miaohuan Breakthrough, 3rd Rank Artifact Refining. Bihu Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus? Like a spiritual spring, it can be used to refine a void magical treasure, serving as a second Dantian. When Lu Changxing heard Hong Lian's words, his eyes slightly narrowed, gazing at the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus in his hands. What is yin and yang? 2 begets 3, that is yin and yang. The cultivation technique he had been practicing, the yin-yang creation classic, as a true immortal level technique, was profoundly mysterious. It emphasized the mutual generation of yin and yang, transforming all things with the effect of coordinating all laws. Once he completed the transformation in his cultivation and achieved the yin-yang creation classic, he could freely transform his own cultivation level into corresponding demonic, Buddhist, or demon race cultivation techniques by utilizing the arbitrary transformation rules of nature's spiritual energy. This was why Lu Changxing believed this cultivation technique was highly suitable for him. Because once he mastered this technique, there was no need to cultivate any Buddhist or demonic techniques. He could directly cultivate the Brahma Demon True Saint technique. However, to achieve this effect, one would need a treasure of the void as a foundation. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus before him seemed quite promising. It was only a 3rd order. But according to Hong Lian, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus could grow through cultivation, advancing to the 4th rank Tianyuan Lotus, even reaching the legendary Heavenly Yuan Dao Lotus. The Heavenly Yuan Dao Lotus was too far a goal for him to consider currently. But with the Myriad Spirits bottle, the 4th rank Tianyuan Lotus seemed somewhat hopeful. Besides, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus could also assist him in his core formation. He was looking to achieve a core formation breakthrough but faced a problem. Spirit Vein. To attempt core formation, a continuous supply of spiritual energy from a 3rd level Spirit Vein arena was necessary. However, the Spirit Vein of Bihu Lake was only a 2nd order superior. The Spirit Vein of the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven was a 2nd order inferior. Even if Mount Sumeru intervened, absorbing all spirit energy from Bihu into the Cave Heaven and exhausting vast amounts of spirit stones, the spiritual energy could only be reluctantly improved to 3rd order, insufficient for his core formation. After all, with his current foundation, once he achieved core formation, it would surely be a superior gold core. The required spiritual energy was far beyond what other nascent soul cultivators needed. For this matter, Lu Changxing had several preparations. One of which was, after completing the Yin-Yang Creation Classic, to cultivate a nascent soul secret technique, Yin-Yang Primordial Elixir Method. The basic principle of this secret technique was, at the peak of foundation establishment, to compress part of the mana continuously, refining it in the Qi Ocean core into multiple elemental elixirs. During the core formation attempt, all elemental elixirs could merge to form an immortal golden core. This not only made core formation much easier, eliminating bottlenecks, but also reduced the necessity for nature's spiritual energy during the breakthrough, enhancing the quality of core formation. According to the Yin Yang Creation Classic, if there is a second dantian to store elemental elixirs, then the upper limit of possible elemental elixirs significantly increases. As long as enough elemental elixirs are aggregated, even if elevating the spirit energy of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven to just quasi-third order, theoretically it should be sufficient to attempt core formation. Lu Changxing, looking at the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus in his hands, felt increasingly that this was suitable for him. Although cultivating this lotus to fourth order to become a Tianyuan lotus would also greatly enhance the spiritual energy of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, comparable to a third order spirit vein, even if he had the myriad spirits bottle, cultivating it to fourth order would not be easy. Moreover, in his view, even if he cultivated it to fourth order Tianyuan lotus, it would still be better suited as a void magical treasure serving as a second dantian. What a pity there's only one Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. If there were a few more planted in the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, that would be better. Lu Changxing sighed with a tinge of regret. Then he took his wife Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin to the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Yuner, Jinjin, give it your all and see if we can revive this Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Lu Changxing informed the two ladies about the matters regarding the lotus, preparing to revive and plant this lotus in the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Rest assured, husband. The two women nodded and replied. They were still in the foundation establishment stage. But because they cultivated the heavenly longevity technique, they were exceptionally talented in cultivating spirit plants, even able to expend their own lifespans to extend the vitality of the spirit plants. Seeing how their husband valued the lotus and asked for their help, both women took the matter very seriously. Okay. Lu Changxing nodded, then carefully unfroze the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus roots and placed it into the spiritual spring. Subsequently he called out, Yuner, Jinjin, Mount Sumeru. In an instant, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin made gesture incantations. Their bodies surrounded by a rich vitality, green-blue mana surged from their palms, enveloping the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus before them. Simultaneously, Lu Changxing took out the myriad spirits bottle. A drop of emerald, soybean-sized glistening liquid fell from the myriad spirits bottle into the roots of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Suddenly, the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus gently swayed, emitting a thriving presence. Lu Changxing, observing through his divine sense, noticed that the damage on the roots of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus slowly healed, seemingly replenished and restored. After a while, thin, mist-like, richly pure spiritual energy spilled from the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. It was as if an additional small spiritual spring had appeared in the eyes of the present spiritual spring. Yuner Jinjin, that will do, you can rest for a while. Lu Changxing, seeing his wife's pale face, immediately spoke. The Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus was already saved and maintaining its vitality. With the spiritual spring care from Mount Sumeru, it could continue to recover and begin growing anew. Moreover, in 3 months' time the Myriad Spirits bottle would condense another drop of Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew. By then this Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus could probably fully recover and start growing. MHM. Husband, is this sufficient? The two women, looking at the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus before them, asked. Although Jiang country has no fertile ground for the demonic path, every few decades some will always emerge. But I wonder where Xianxia is now. I hope he won't be mistakenly hunted as part of the demonic path? Lu Changxing muttered to himself, thinking of his son Lu Xianxia. His son had been out for over 2 years. According to what Lu Xianxia had said before, he should now be in Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Quanzhen's cultivation technique is indeed a demonic cultivation technique, but it's not the kind that involves killing people for training. He wouldn't do such things. Hopefully he won't be wrongfully labeled as demonic path. Lu Changxing shook his head, thinking so in his mind. At that moment, he remembered that the Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew in his Myriad Spirits bottle should have condensed. He immediately checked and, taking the Myriad Spirits bottle, went to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, dropping the Myriad Spirits Heaven Dew onto the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus. Indeed, with the drop of myriad spirits heaven dew, the damage on the rhizome of the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus finally healed, bringing a smile to Lu Changsheng's eyes. He thought to himself that without the myriad spirits bottle relying solely on his wife's healing, it might have taken decades, even 100 years of lifespan to heal such damage. By the way, Honglian, how many years will it approximately take for the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to advance to the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus? It was then that Lu Changxing thought of a question and asked Honglian. With the myriad spirits bottle, he was confident he could cultivate the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to 4th rank. But since the myriad spirits bottle produced only 1 drop of myriad spirits heaven dew a year, he couldn't possibly wait indefinitely for the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to advance. I am not sure either, but this lotus is about 7 inches broad, its petals crystalline resembling jade. It should have advanced to Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus long ago. If it grows to 9 inches, it will evolve towards the Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. Hong Lian's voice echoed in Lu Changsheng's mind. Although she recognized the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, she only knew this much information on the matter. All right. Lu Changxing nodded. In his view, it would be best for the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to advance to Tianyuan Treasure Emperor Lotus. If it was really impossible for it to advance to the 4th rank Emperor Lotus, this 3rd rank King Lotus would suffice for the time being. At the same time, White Crane Mountain Luo family. This was a foundation establishment family with 3 foundation establishment cultivators and residents, situated under the governance of Spirit Taming Sect, modestly famous. But because 2 foundation establishment ancestors in the family had simultaneously fallen a few months ago, it led to the family members being anxious and the family forces gradually retracting. That day, a young man wearing a wide-brimmed hat, with a clear and handsome face and narrow eyes, approached near White Crane Mountain. Luo family. The young man, looking at White Crane Mountain enveloped by a great formation, sneered, his smile gradually widening, his narrow eyes filled with murderous intent. Then he took out a set of Spirit Taming Sect disciple robes and put them on, driving a spirit boat to the Luo family's mountain gate. Greetings, senior. When the guarding disciples of the Luo family saw Lu Chuanzhen, they immediately bowed and saluted. After all, the foundation establishment spiritual pressure and the Spirit Taming Sect disciple robes compelled them not to offend him. Summon your Luo family's person in charge. The young man, with an air of superiority, demanded coldly. Please wait a moment, senior. The Luo family's guarding disciple dared not delay and immediately sent a message to notify the family elders. Shortly thereafter, several cultivators hurried over. Our sect received a report that your White Crane Mountain Luo family has colluded with the demonic path. Now all foundation members, the family head and elders, follow me back for investigation. The young man took out a token and declared loudly. What, colluding with the demonic path? Upon hearing this, the Luo family members all looked at each other in dismay, their expressions drastically changing. Colluding with the demonic path was a major crime. Even if the Luo family had not committed such an act, just cooperating with the investigation would cost them dearly. Her pupils also shone with a dark red beautiful luster, giving her a unique charm. Her nose was high and defined, her lips bewitching as if touched with fresh blood, vividly enticing. This appearance made Lu Changxing think she resembled a darkly made-up female boss from TV shows. All that was missing was some eyeshadow. Even in Lu Changxing's eyes, Lu Miaohuan's tall and slender graceful posture seemed even more enchanting, constantly radiating captivating charm. Huan Huan, congratulations. Congratulations, Sister Huan Huan, on breaking through foundation establishment. Wow, Sister Huan Huan, you look so beautiful. Lu Miaoge, Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin all spoke up, congratulating Lu Miaohuan. Thank you, husband, Sister Zixiao, Miaoyun and Jinjin. Lu Miaohuan stood up, her face bright with a joyous smile. Her breakthrough to foundation establishment had swept away the gloom from her mind. After a brief chat, Chu Jinjin asked Lu Miaohuan what abilities she had gained. For example, after Lu Miaohuan's foundation establishment breakthrough, she had condensed a Tao foundation seed called the Luminous Eye, which could penetrate illusions and related techniques. When Chu Jinjin broke through Foundation establishment, her Tao Foundation seed called Universal Illumination of Buddhist chants could calm the spirit and suppress heart demons. My Tao Foundation seed's ability is blood essence extraction. It allows me to convert blood essence into life essence through the abyssal ghoul blossom, which is vitality, which means lifespan. In his initial concept, there was not only a manual assembly line but also puppet automation. Some puppet components and parts would be crafted by puppets. Even constructing several large-scale puppets, akin to CNC machine tools with artificial intelligence. But as beautiful as the imagination was, reality was harsh. The difficulty of construction was one thing, but what really hindered Lu Changxing was not a matter of craftsmanship, but the cost of construction, daily consumption and subsequent maintenance expenses. Second-rank puppets running for long periods required the consumption of middle-grade spirit stones, or even superior-grade spirit stones. Naturally, their efficiency was slightly higher than that of energy-refining cultivators. But in the cultivation world, other things might be scarce, but there was no shortage of cultivators. A puppet apprentice at Bai Lake Mountain earned less than 10 low-quality spirit stones a month in wages. Even due to the reputation and goodwill of Bai Lake Mountain, countless cultivators were willing to sign indenture contracts for the chance to learn a trade and have a backer, as long as they were provided with food and accommodation. Under such circumstances, relying on puppet automation was simply a losing business. The emergence of the Thousand Faces puppet fox, which required no daily consumption or subsequent maintenance, could potentially realize Lu Changxing's idea of automation. But he was currently unable to craft such third-order puppets, and the cost was too high to consider. After all, to make a profit from crafting puppets using the Thousand Faces puppet fox, it might take hundreds of years just to break even. But now, having obtained the third-order artifact refinement skill, Lu Changxing suddenly had many new ideas. While full-scale industrialization might not be feasible, partial industrialization was certainly possible. For example, whether it was artifact refining, alchemy, talisman making, or puppets, there was one tedious step in common: the processing of raw materials. The materials for artifacts and puppets were mainly metal spirit ores, which required cultivators to spend a great deal of time refining, purging them of impurities. The only issue in the process of refining spirit ores is the purging of impurities without losing the inherent spiritual essence. If I could construct a spiritual power furnace that automatically purges impurities and locks in the spiritual essence, I could omit the manual refining step entirely, saving a significant amount of time. Lu Changxing's eyes narrowed as he began to ponder and calculate in his mind to see if he could make this idea a reality. After all, cost was always a concern. If the spiritual power furnace turned out to be too costly to operate, then it would be pointless. Chapter 1019. Artifact Refining Concept. Another Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. Chapter 1019. Chapter 362. Artifact Refining Concept. Another Heavenly Origin Precious Lotus. Wum. The red copper melting furnace began to tremble, its spiritual patterns gleaming with a red luster, their sound growing louder until they rumbled mightily. Open. Lu Xianxia, continuing his gesture incantations, let out a light shout and opened the feed port of the furnace, unleashing a layer of rolling thermal waves. He then slapped his storage bag and dozens of pieces of kuei essence flew into the red copper melting furnace. Bang! The lid of the feed port closed with a booming sound as the temperature within the furnace continued to rise. Lu Changxing observed the situation inside the furnace with his divine sense. He could clearly see the kuei essence melting into molten iron, its impurities dissipating, while its spirit nature was burnt yet tightly locked within by the inscriptions of the furnace. After a long while, the furnace roared and flashed a golden spiritual light. Seeing this, Lu Xianxia quickly formed gesture incantations with both hands and cast a spell towards the furnace. The discharge port of the red copper melting furnace swung open, and a wave of heat flooded out, raising the temperature of the grand hall. Blob after blob of purified kuei essence iron juice flowed out, exhibiting a dark, spiritual gleam, then rapidly solidified. Father, this Kuei essence has been refined very cleanly, it is just that some of the spiritual essence is not entirely even. If it is to be used for crafting magic artifacts or puppet parts, it might require some additional processing, Lu Xianxia said after inspecting the solidified iron and speaking up. Alright, I think I know what the issue is, Lu Changxing nodded. He had observed the entire process and had already spotted some issues. How do you find the performance of this melting spirit furnace? Lu Changxing continued to inquire. The efficiency is very high, but it cannot separately melt different types of spirit ores, Lu Xianxia replied. Moreover, melting too little spirit ore and continually operating for extended periods would be a loss, Lu Xianxia added. Lu Changxing nodded, also realizing these issues. The melting spirit furnace he had casted was approximately a top-grade spiritual tool. Excluding his labor costs, just the material expenses amounted to over 10,000 spirit stones. With so much time and effort invested and the high cost, the resulting efficiency was seen as quite a failure in Lu Changxing's eyes. Father, currently we have several stable spirit mines in White Tiger Mountain. As long as we transport these spirit ores here for unified melting, we will be able to significantly reduce the cost and greatly improve efficiency, Lu Xianxia continued. Moreover, once the scale of our family's workshop expands further in the future, the effect of this melting spirit furnace will also greatly enhance, Lu Xianxia added. While Lu Xianxia thought the furnace's performance was mediocre, somewhat lacking in utility, he naturally didn't want to dampen his father's spirits since he had invested so much time and thought into it. Alright, when I have time later, I'll work on improving it. You can see in the meantime if there are any other issues that need to be addressed, said Lu Changxing a bit listlessly as he exited the puppet workshop. At this moment, he further understood how difficult it was to industrialize the cultivation world. Even as a third-order top-tier artifact refiner like himself, crafting a melting spirit furnace for just first and second-rank spirit ores was so troublesome. To keep optimizing and improving while spending time and effort for a result that only increased efficiency and saved a bit in labor costs. With the time and energy, whether in alchemy, artifact refining or talisman making, he would earn much more. For Lu Changxing, this could only be seen as a hobby of pure interest, not wholly measurable by profit. Yes, father, Lu Xianxia nodded in agreement. After watching Lu Changxing leave, he stood silently, gazing at the melting spirit furnace before him, unable to help but admire his father's creativity and hands-on abilities. If the puppet workshop could increase its foundation tenfold from now and have a continual supply of spirit ores, then the efficiency of this melting spirit furnace could probably be realized, Lu Xianxia murmured. Although Bihu Lake Mountain's puppet workshop was doing well, its reach was limited to the surrounding area without further expansion. Consequently, the workshop hadn't grown much in size over the years. It had mainly increased the variety of puppets and the production of advanced puppets. But the demand for puppets was only so high. Unless they could expand the business throughout the entire Qingyun region and even the Jianghu country cultivation realm, only then could the effectiveness of a melting spirit furnace like this truly come into play. To expand the family business across the entire Qingyun region, the Jianghu country cultivation realm is not without hope. I just wonder if I will live to see that day. Lu Xianxia thought of his father, the several aunts at home and his siblings Lu Qingshan, Lu Chuanzhen and Lu Wangshu. With them, the family would most likely advance further, eventually becoming a top-tier family in the Qingyun region or even a nascent soul-great clan. However, with his 9th-grade spiritual root, this life was destined to be without foundation establishment. He didn't know if he would witness that day.